Chapter 809, Shifting Stars, 1. The power of the Wuxian Destruction Formation was focused on destruction. At this moment, the lawless destruction formation had reached its limit. The formation formed a cyclone that was 10 miles in size in the air, tearing the space apart. All the experts and the army trembled when they saw this destructive array. Only now did they understand the power of the array. Icebound 10,000 mile. Lu Haotian and the others stood on the war god. The three destructive spiritual energies had completely fused together, forming a destructive cyclone that was 10 miles wide. At this moment, all the powerhouses and the army felt a chill. The scorching air suddenly turned cold. All the experts and the army began to tremble. However, on the side of the Freedom Dynasty, the situation changed in an instant. In the army, countless experts and soldiers who cultivated fire elemental cultivation techniques used fire elemental cultivation techniques to cover the soldiers around them. With the fire elemental cultivation techniques to resist, the icy aura instantly disappeared. The Xiaoyao Empire had long prepared for this, so they were naturally not worried about the cold air being destroyed. Marshal Saint Ming Luo looked at the Xiaoyao dynasty's army that was using fire elemental cultivation techniques. She didn't panic at all and protected her comrades. She smiled faintly when she saw this. Then, he looked at Lu Haotian. When he looked at Lu Haotian, his expression became puzzled. This was because the opponent had cast the Forgotten Heaven Destruction Formation, but Lu Haotian had only cast the formation that froze thousands of miles. The destructive cyclone had turned into an icy pillar of light. Such a formation had no defense at all, and its attack was not strong either. Naturally, it was not a match for the Forgotten Heaven Destruction Formation. Boom! Lu Haotian's face revealed a confident expression, and his eyes were filled with madness. With a tap of his hand, a 10-mile-wide array formation cyclone in the air blasted towards the army of the Heavens Roar's capital city. The Heavenly Wind Divine Array was an auxiliary array formation that could accelerate. At this moment, the power of the Heavenly Wind Divine Array erupted. In an instant, a cold light pillar that froze thousands of miles landed on the army of the Heavens Roar's capital city. This speed had completely surpassed the imaginations of all the armies and experts. Seeing this situation, Yaoshan's face became furious. He never thought that the other party would use this array and even accelerate it. Now, it was too late to use the Wuxian Destruction Array to break the icebound 1,000-mile. They could only watch helplessly as the icebound 1,000-mile array bombarded the army of the Heaven Roar's capital city. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded out as the 10-mile-wide light pillar exploded. It was like a destructive bomb that destroyed the army of 20 million soldiers. They were already unprepared, and countless experts and armies were frozen. They didn't have the mood or energy to defend at all. Now that they were bombarded by this destructive array formation, they were instantly destroyed. The pillar of light that covered tens of thousands of miles of ice exploded with a destructive halo. Wherever the halo passed, all the experts and armies were imprisoned or even destroyed. The army within 1,000 miles was imprisoned and killed. Even the air was lifeless. When Yao Tian saw this situation, he almost went berserk, but it was impossible to salvage the situation now. His expression turned cruel. He pointed with one hand and the destructive lawless destruction formation blasted towards Freedom King. The space around them started to tremble. The experts of the Carefree Empire were all shocked. The experts who were watching the battle also started to tremble. This battle had completely exceeded their imaginations. Heaven and earth change, stars shift. Lu Haotian's face was filled with excitement and madness when he saw the lawless destruction formation in the sky. At the same time, he looked at all the array masters. Each array master took out a wisp of blood essence. The blood essence was refined by a spell and turned into a blood curtain. With the appearance of the blood veil, the primeval essence and cultivation of all the array masters recovered rapidly. Instantly, a strange aura emanated from every array master. This aura had fused with heaven and earth. At this moment, the Wuxian Destruction Formation had already arrived above the 30 million soldiers of the Xiaoyao dynasty. Just as the 30 million soldiers were about to be destroyed, a strange power appeared in the sky. Yao Tian also felt this strange power, and his eyes revealed a look of horror. The power of the stars. It's the power of the stars, the power of the stars of a divine array master. Yao Tian cried out in alarm. He looked at the void with a horrified expression, as if he had seen a ghost. At this moment, he was completely stunned by the force in the air. He had never thought that he would actually see the power of the stars that only a divine array master could display in this place. The power of the stars was not something that a martial artist or a holy array master could imagine. In front of the young master, you are forever just an ant. Do you know why you failed? Do you know who defeated you? Your failure is because you are ignorant and self-righteous. You were defeated by the young master. The young master has long understood your array Dao. In front of the young master, you have no right to talk about array Dao at all. Lu Haotian looked at Yaoshan's expression and felt extremely pleased. It was as if he had defeated Yao Tian himself. In fact, he had defeated Yao Tian, but he had received Li Lingshan's guidance. As soon as he finished speaking, he pointed with his hand, and the mysterious power in the air strangely imprisoned the heavenless destruction formation. With a wave of his hand, the heavenless destruction formation ruthlessly bombarded the army of the Roaring Sky King City. Seeing this strange change, the Xiaoyao Empire army cheered in shock. Countless experts who were watching the battle were also shocked. They did not expect the Xiaoyao dynasty to have such a terrifying array that could reach the power of the shifting stars. Moreover, based on Lu Haoshan's words, Li Lingtian was the one who defeated Yao Tian. In that case, Li Lingtian was a terrifying divine array master. A divine array master, the number 1 alchemy saint, a super martial saint powerhouse comparable to a martial god. Who else was a match for such a terrifying monster? Boom! Heaven and earth trembled in front of this destructive explosion. The heavens were also furious and sent down terrifying heavenly might. The power of the 10,000 miles of ice had frozen and destroyed an area within 1,000 miles of the 20 million soldiers. It was already miserable enough, but the Wuxian destruction formation added fuel to the fire. The destructive attack had completely turned the area within 1,000 miles into nothingness. This time, even a 9th heavenly layer martial saint expert would perish and turn into nothingness. An army of 8 million soldiers was destroyed in front of the two formations. 8 million, an army of 8 million, vanished like smoke. Kill them. Martial Saint Ming Luo looked at this ending and was shocked. She looked at Lu Haotian with a strong gaze and smiled. With a wave of the flag in his hand, the 30 million soldiers charged out like a tidal wave. Kill them. Kill them. Those who obey will prosper, and those who rebel will die. Sweep the Black Continent and unify the world. Instantly, a heaven-shaking battle cry rang out. The sound reverberated through the heavens and earth, and a destructive killing intent soared into the sky. A bloody aura filled the space, and a bloody light shot into the sky. Boom! Boom! Boom, boom, for a moment, the war god's light projection continued to shoot out. The light projection cut through the void and entered the army of the royal city of heaven's roars. The war god's power was enough to destroy a martial saint powerhouse. It was even more fatal to the army. Every light shadow destroyed a large portion of the army. When the Carefree Dynasty's army entered the army of the King of Heaven's Roars, the army of the King of Heaven's Roars had already collapsed. By Yunfei, get out here. At this moment, Martial Saint Ming Luo called Heavenly Monster King and Martial Saint Yunhao over. Lu Haotian also came over. After giving some instructions, he shook his body and took off his armor as he shouted at the army in the distance. Encountering his enemy, the battle had already reached its climax. Destroying the enemy's army was not a problem. Now, it was time to deal with his enemy. If this enemy was killed by another expert, he would regret it for the rest of his life. With Martial Saint Yunhao and the others here, he wasn't worried at all. As soon as he finished speaking, he looked at Ming Yan Air beside him and quickly flew into the distance. Ming Luo, since you're courting death today, I 11 kill you first. Bai Yunfei watched as the army of the royal city of Heaven's Roars was destroyed in front of the two formations. Yao Tian was also the center of destruction in the power of the stars. He was completely defenseless and finally disappeared into thin air. Now, he understood how powerful the Carefree dynasty was. However, he did not intend to let go of the Ming family's opponent. It was a piece of cake for a 7th Heaven Martial Saint to kill a 5th Heaven Martial Saint as the #1 genius of the Water Cloud Nation. After he finished speaking, his figure flashed and he started fighting Martial Saint Ming Luo. Boom! 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 The entire space exploded continuously. As the experts fought, the space shattered inch by inch like a broken mirror. The battle between Martial Saint Ming Luo and Bai Yunfei became the focus of countless experts. However, there were no experts who joined the battle. Even the experts of the Xiaoyao dynasty did not help Martial Saint Ming Luo. There were only 3 9th heavenly level Martial Saints who kept an eye on the battle between the two of them. The 3 9th heavenly level Martial Saints held the fort for Martial Saint Ming Luo. They understood that this was Martial Saint Ming Luo's personal enemy. If anyone stepped forward to help, Martial Saint Ming Luo would not only not be grateful, but would even blame them. Martial Saint Ming Luo was at a disadvantage when she fought against the #1 genius of the Water Cloud Nation, who was at the 7th heaven of the Martial Saint realm. However, she was fighting with her life on the line. She was going to die together with Bai Yunfei, which made Bai Yunfei feel fearful. For a moment, he was defending more than he was attacking, and he was constantly retreating. This situation immediately shocked countless experts. Like master, like subordinates. The 5th Heaven Martial Saint was actually suppressing the #1 genius of the 7th Heaven Martial Saint. Between heaven and earth, a great battle did not stop. But the army of the Heaven's Roar's capital city was already utterly defeated, retreating step by step. In a moment's time, they had already retreated hundreds of miles. After the destruction of the array formation, the army of the Heaven's Roar's royal city had lost all will to fight, let alone morale. Now, the army only wanted to escape without any resistance. The army of the free and unfettered dynasty was like a tiger entering a flock of sheep. The battle was one-sided. There are still 2 chapters to be updated at noon. Please give me monthly votes and recommendation tickets. Chapter 8-10, Bai Yunfei's Fall. Kill, kill. The Carefree Empire's army was incomparably excited when they saw the collapse of the Heaven Roar's Imperial City's army. Their shouts shook the sky. This momentum became the point of collapse for the Roaring Sky King City's army. Instantly, the remaining 10 million soldiers completely collapsed and quickly fled towards the Roaring Sky Emperor City. The powerhouses and secret agents from the various kingdoms who were watching the battle from afar were shocked beyond words. They were already feeling fear in their hearts. Li Ling Tian was going to conquer the world, and it was inevitable that he would have to face such an army in the future. For a moment, the experts and secret agents of the various kingdoms already had an idea. The strength of the Carefree Empire was too terrifying. 3 destruction stances, Starfire Prairie. Cold Moon Star Fatal Blow. The army of the Xiaoyao dynasty took advantage of the situation to pursue and quickly pressed towards the capital of Heaven's Roars. Bai Yunfei and Martial Saint Ming Luo followed the army and attacked. Martial Saint Ming Luo had been suppressing Bai Yunfei's attacks with a crazed expression. As time passed, Martial Saint Ming Luo's true essence was gradually exhausted, and her power was not as strong as before. With the difference in realms, a 5th Heaven Martial Saint was no match for the #1 genius of the 7th Heaven Martial Saint. However, at this moment, Martial Saint Ming Luo's expression was resolute. After a roar, she circulated all the vital essence in her body and executed the 3 destruction styles. The last style of the 3 destruction styles was Sparks of Fire. The entire sky was filled with destructive flames. A blazing fire that could burn the world burst out at this moment. The destructive flames bombarded Bai Yunfei. Wherever the flames passed, the space was pierced. At the same time, Bai Yunfei didn't dare to be careless when he saw Marshal Saint Ming Luo using her last move. He circulated his genuine vitality and the space was torn apart. A strange aura burst out beside him. When this strange aura appeared, the destructive aura in the world gathered quickly. In the blink of an eye, he waved his hand and a starlight shot toward Marshal Saint Ming Luo. The starlight ignored the distance between them. It pierced through the flames and space and arrived in front of Marshal Saint Ming Luo in an instant. Bai Yunfei revealed a cruel expression as if he had seen Marshal Saint Ming Luo's death. Divine heaven-splitting shield. Bang! Pfft! Marshal Saint Ming Luo's expression changed when he saw the starlight coming at him. He activated his soul consciousness and cast the divine heaven-splitting shield. Instantly, the divine heaven-splitting shield protected him completely. However, the power of the starlight was beyond the imagination of all the experts. The starlight passed through the pseudo-divine weapon, the divine heaven-splitting shield, and struck Marshal Saint Ming Luo. Marshal Saint Ming Luo's expression was extremely unsightly. Her body fell rapidly and she was forced to float in the air. There was blood on the corner of his mouth and his eyes were unfocused. However, when he saw blazing fire surrounding Bai Yunfei, he revealed a strange smile. Bai Yunfei, you didn't kill me 10 years ago. Today, you will die in my hands. The number 1 genius of Reincarnation. Ha, just a piece of trash. Marshal Saint Ming Luo shouted loudly. Blood kept flowing out of the corner of her mouth, and her expression became crazy. All the experts were puzzled. They thought that Marshal Saint Ming Luo had gone mad. Although the flame was terrifying, it could not destroy Bai Yunfei, the number 1 genius of the 7th heaven. Did Marshal Saint Ming Luo say that because she was so angry? I've already tried to start a prairie with a mere spark. Even the number 1 expert of the Ming family can't do anything to me, let alone you. Ming Luo, you're despicable, you're despicable. Bai Yunfei looked at Marshal Saint Ming Luo. Although she wasn't destroyed by the cold moon heart, she was severely injured. She wouldn't be able to recover in a short time. Even if Blazing Spark was powerful, it was nothing to him, a 7th sky martial saint. He circulated his true essence to resist the attack of the flames while speaking loudly to Marshal Saint Ming Luo. Seeing the countless experts watching the battle, he felt great. At this moment, he wanted the experts of the world to see his strength. However, at this moment, his expression changed drastically as he exclaimed in surprise. Marshal Saint Ming Luo cultivated the fire element, which was also the pure explosive flame. However, there was a strange ice flame in the flames. Terrifying and destructive ice flames. This ice flame definitely did not belong to Marshal Saint Ming Luo. It was just borrowed because it was impossible for experts who cultivated fire to come into contact with such terrifying ice flames. By the time he realized it, the icy frost flame had already entered his body. The destructive power of the icy frost flame continued to destroy his meridians and dantian. At the same time, the true essence in his dantian was solidified, and his entire body was corroded. Seeing this situation, he immediately understood that he had been tricked. He cursed loudly, completely disregarding his carefree image just now. All of a sudden, all the experts were curious and shocked, wondering what was going on with Bai Yunfei. However, very soon, some experts noticed that something was wrong. They also saw the problem in the flames. When they saw this problem, they were all extremely shocked. Bai Yunfei kept rolling in the flames. His body was burned by the flames. In the blink of an eye, he turned into ashes and disappeared in the air. Puchi. Marshal Saint Ming Luo looked at Bai Yunfei's death and smiled. She couldn't hold on any longer and fell down quickly. At this moment, Marshal Saint Yunhao's figure flashed and caught Marshal Saint Ming Luo, quickly sending her to the war god. Take good care of your third uncle. He needs to heal now. Marshal Saint Yunhao left the war god after she finished speaking. The battle was still going on. Marshal Saint Ming Luo was injured, so he had to take over her authority. He couldn't let anything happen to the battle. The 30 million army chased all the way. In half an hour's time, the 30 million army had already arrived in front of the Heaven's Roar's capital city. At this time, the Heaven's Roar's capital city's army only had less than 10 million left. In a short hour's time, the Heaven's Roar's capital city's army had lost more than half. Reorganize! Marshal Saint Yunhao shouted. The 30 million soldiers stopped chasing and quickly reorganized themselves. The first round was passed, and the army arrived at the City of Heaven's Roars in a state of complete victory. They had destroyed countless powerhouses and armies. However, at this time, when the army arrived at the City of Heaven's Roars, it was the real beginning of the war. The army reorganized and attacked the City of Heaven's Roars with their strongest aura and state, destroying the experts of the City of Heaven's Roars and taking it down. Boom! Bang! The war drums sounded, and the army reorganized. The black mass of the army stretched for thousands of miles. An earth-shattering aura tore through the void, and the entire sky became gloomy. The atmosphere was extremely oppressive. Although there were deaths and destruction in an army of 30 million, these losses were insignificant to the entire army. The earth trembled in front of the destructive army. The sound of the war drums shook the hearts of the experts and the army, and their blood boiled. Countless experts gathered in the capital city of Heaven's Roars. Looking at the carefree dynasty's army and then looking at their own army, the difference was like the difference between heaven and earth. Roaring Heavenly King Qing Jiao Yuanwu, come out and talk to me. Marshal Saint Yunhao stood on the war god and shouted at the royal city of Heaven's Roars. His aura soared and his eyes flashed. Yes. Yes. The soldiers of the three armies formed a grand array, sending out a powerful aura toward the Heaven's Roar's imperial city as if they were demonstrating their might. Whether it was an expert or an army, their aura could make their opponents tremble. The victory of their aura would give them the advantage of victory. You're not worthy. Call Li Lingtian out. Qiao Yuanwu stood up and shouted. At this moment, he had already thrown caution to the wind. Li Lingtian had yet to show up during the battle. Everyone suspected that he was cultivating. If that was the case, this was an opportunity to wipe out the carefree dynasty. Heaven's Roar's capital city, those who obey will prosper, and those who rebel will die. Marshal Saint Yunhao had a faint smile on his face. Even though Qiao Yuanwu wanted Li Lingtian to speak, he had done so. He was too obedient. However, Li Lingtian was not around at this moment. The battle would depend on his words and actions. Those who obey will prosper, and those who rebel will die. Those who obey will prosper, and those who rebel will die. Those who obey will prosper, and those who rebel will die. The 30 million troops shouted in unison. Their aura shook the void, causing the experts and army of the Heaven's Roar's capital city to tremble. If you want to fight, then fight. Wait until you destroy my Heaven's Roar's capital city. Attack! Qiao Yuanwu was emboldened when he saw that Li Lingtian did not come out. The expression on his face became natural as he spoke loudly. At the end of his sentence, he waved his hand and countless attacks passed through the formation and ruthlessly bombarded the Xiaoyao Empire army. Tens of thousands of destructive attacks bombarded the Xiaoyao dynasty army like meteors. Instantly, the world trembled in front of these attacks. War God, cover me. Attack. Brother Lu, it's up to you now. Marshal Saint Yunhao was furious when he saw the other party attack first. However, he remained calm. Waving the flag in his hand, the war god's attack also burst out rapidly. Instantly, thousands of light shadows attacked the city of Heaven's Roars. The power of the war god was enough to destroy the world. With the war god's light projection retaliating, the attack from the city of Heaven's Roars was also blocked. After blocking the attack of the Heaven's Roars imperial city, the experts of the free and unfettered empire also executed destructive attacks, constantly bombarding the array formation. At this moment, Lu Haotian also began to take action. Although Lu Haoshan's status wasn't as high as Marshal Saint Ming Luo and Marshal Saint Yun Hao, his current strength had made him one of the sole figures of the army. This was because everyone in the army had witnessed the terror of array masters. All right. Lu Haotian nodded. His figure flashed and he arrived on the other three war gods. Instantly, the three-headed war god let out a blinding light. A shocking light soared into the sky. This light attracted the gazes of countless experts. All the experts and the expert army of the Heavens Roar's capital city were shocked by this light. 3 rays of light shot into the 9 heavens, and the heavens trembled. Chapter 8:11, Restriction Array Divine Pearl, 1. Ancient Divine Formation, Metal Mystic Light Formation. Lu Haotian shouted loudly as he continuously cast the spell seals in his hands. At the same time, more than 200 array masters also cast the spell seals. Every array master had an excited look on their faces. This was the first time they had used an ancient divine array together, so they were naturally excited. They also wanted to see the power of the ancient divine array. At the same time, countless experts watching the battle, including experts from the Heavens Roar's capital city, the Carefree Empire, were all shocked. The power of the ancient divine array was heaven-defying and powerful. No one in Xianzhou had ever used it, nor had they seen an ancient divine array. However, it was actually used by an array master of the Xiaoyao dynasty. Rumble. Rumble. The ancient divine array had yet to form, but a terrifying explosion sounded in the air, and the space trembled. Even a Marshal Saint Powerhouse felt his heart tremble at this power. He left far away from the range of the battle. Although the ancient divine array is powerful, wanting to break through my Heavens Roar's capital city's defense, your Carefree Empire is still unable to do it. Restriction Array Divine Pearl. Qiao Yuanwu looked at the terrifying ancient divine array with a horrified expression. However, his expression gradually calmed down, and a smile appeared on his face. He stretched out his hand, and a fist-sized pearl appeared in his hand. A dazzling and mysterious light burst out from the pearl. The appearance of the mysterious light instantly lit up the city. The defensive formation trembled in front of this light. Crash. In a moment's effort, Heaven Roar's capital city's defense grand array actually shattered. The entire Heavens Roar's capital city was exposed to the air. However, at this moment, the pearl in Xiao Yuanwa's hand became even more dazzling. The light illuminated the sky. Restriction Array Divine Pearl? Could it be a forbidden array divine pearl left behind from ancient times? The formation restricting divine pearl can restrict any formation. It's also the nemesis of formation's path. I didn't expect that Heavens Roar's capital city actually has such a restriction array divine bead. Looks like Heavens Roar's capital city has long been prepared. Instantly, countless experts and armies cried out in surprise. The army of the Xiaoyao dynasty was also shocked. If this restriction array divine array was really so powerful, the Xiaoyao dynasty's array would not be able to break through the defense of the Heavens Roar's capital city. Such a big battle would not have been fought at all. Rumble. Rumble. The war god's attack and the attacks of countless powerhouses were all blocked by the light. The attacks disappeared without a trace. Destroy. At this moment, Lu Haoshan's ancient divine array had also been completed. Looking at the other party's forbidden array divine pearl, he felt a sense of foreboding. However, it was impossible to stop now. If he stopped, he would be injured and the 200 array Dao masters would suffer a backlash. Moreover, the Carefree Empire could forget about breaking the array formation. The army would suffer a setback here. Thinking of this, determination flashed in his eyes. With a tap of his hand, the ancient divine formation, the golden mystic light formation, was unleashed. Instantly, the lights on the 3 war gods merged together, forming a golden light that was 10 miles in size. The golden light was like a golden eye that directly bombarded Heavens Roar's capital city. 2 dazzling lights appeared in the sky. The light of the ancient divine array collided with the light of the forbidden array divine pearl, and an explosion sounded in the air. Boom! Boom! The light of the divine array and the light of the divine bead continuously collided. The sky was torn apart and the earth trembled. Countless experts and armies stopped at this moment and watched as attack and defense competed with each other. Boom! Puff! In the blink of an eye, the light of the ancient divine array and the light of the divine bead collided for thousands of times. However, the light of the ancient divine array became weaker and weaker. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell that the ancient divine array could not break the light of the divine bead. At this moment, Lu Haotian spat out a mouthful of blood. The other array masters also spat out a mouthful of blood. The golden mystic light formation disappeared, and the world fell silent. At the same time, the light from the forbidden formation god bead in Xiao Yuanhua's hand disappeared as well. He had an excited smile on his face. He did not expect this bead to be able to resist the array of the Xiaoyao dynasty, and it was an ancient divine array. Haha. Didn't the free and unfettered empire want to attack my kingdom of heaven's roars? If this is all you have, I think the free and unfettered empire should submit to the kingdom of heaven's roars. Call Li Lingtian out and submit to the kingdom of heaven's roars. The kingdom of heaven's roars can give him a kingdom. Qiao Yuanwu said loudly with a smile on his face. At the same time, the experts and army above the heavens roar's capital city also laughed loudly. The army and powerhouses from the carefree empire were enraged. They were courting death by insulting Li Lingtian. However, they could not break into the enemy's city and could only watch as the enemy mocked them. Is that so? Do you want me to submit to the kingdom of heaven's roars? At this moment, an ethereal voice sounded in the air. The voice seemed to be half from outside the 9 heavens. Countless experts did not feel anything, but when this voice reached the experts and army of the Xiaoyao Empire, it immediately caused a shocking uproar. Young Master, Young Master. Young Master D, Young Master D. Young Master D is here, Young Master D is here. The experts and the army of the Xiaoyao dynasty were familiar with this voice. In their eyes, this voice was like an oracle. As long as Li Lingtian was around, he would be invincible. There were no formations or powerhouses that could stop him. Appearing at this critical moment, it was simply a piece of cake for the Xiaoyao dynasty to destroy the cities of the Heavens Roar's capital city. Li Lingtian is here. The heaven-breaking pavilion is here. The #1 divine alchemist of the divine martial continent. Li Lingtian is really here. I wonder what the battle will be like. I wonder if Li Lingtian has any way to break this forbidden array divine pearl. All the powerhouses, including the powerhouses from the various kingdoms and the powerhouses from the capital city of Heaven's Roars, were shocked when they heard Li Lingshan's arrival. Li Lingshan's name alone was enough to shake the entire Xianzhou. Instantly, everyone listened to the battle and looked at the void. 10,000 miles away, a silver dot of light shot over. In the blink of an eye, this silver dot of light turned into a huge war god. On the war god, a white-robed young man was standing steadily on it. His aura was elegant, and he looked extremely cool. Boom! As the rumbling sound faded, the war god arrived above the carefree dynasty's army. Young Master. Young Master D. Instantly, the 30 million soldiers and tens of thousands of experts half-knelt. The army within 1,000 miles half-knelt. Every soldier and expert had a look of respect and worship on their faces. There was no hint of dissatisfaction. Upon seeing this scene, the experts of the various kingdoms and the experts of the City of Heaven's Roars were all incomparably shocked. This was that powerful figure. What kind of boldness and charm was this? He actually made the people and subordinates below him so respectful. Young Master. Marshal Saint Yunhao and the others came to Li Lingshan's side after he waved for them to stand up and bowed respectfully once again. Yes. It's already very rare for you to be able to control this ancient divine array. The restriction array god pearl is the bane of array masters. It's normal that you can't break it. Li Lingshan's expression was calm as he swept his gaze across Marshal Saint Yunhao and the others. Finally, his gaze landed on Lu Haotian as he spoke indifferently. This subordinate will definitely work hard and not let down young master's teachings. Lu Haotian said gratefully. He was more than happy that Li Lingtian could forgive him. After bowing respectfully, he took a step back, knowing that Li Lingtian had other things to do. How is Ming Luo? Li Lingtian completely ignored the entire battlefield. A faint aura emanated from his body, devoid of any killing intent or ruthlessness. His entire being was one with the world. Facing this battlefield of tens of millions of soldiers was like being in a backyard. He looked at Marshal Saint Yunhao and asked. Now that Marshal Saint Yunhao was controlling the flag, it meant that Marshal Saint Ming Luo was injured or something else happened. Ming Luo met by Yunfei and was injured after killing him. Marshal Saint Yunhao replied respectfully and briefly explained Marshal Saint Ming Luo's situation. Naturally, he knew that Li Lingtian knew about Marshal Saint Ming Luo. All right, leave this place to me. Li Lingtian nodded as his gaze slowly shifted. He looked at all the armies and experts. Wherever his gaze passed, all the armies and experts lowered their heads. In the face of this reputation mysterious aura, no expert could match his gaze. Qiao Yuanwu, right? Li Lingtian looked at the capital city of Heaven's Roars. He left the war god and walked toward the capital city with void steps. He stopped when he was within 10 miles of the capital city and looked at Qiao Yuanwu as he spoke calmly. His tone was calm and his face was calm. However, when he mentioned Qiao Yuanwu, his tone was a little cold, as if he was examining Qiao Yuanwu. I am Qiao Yuanwu. Qiao Yuanwu's heart skipped a beat as he quickly answered. However, he felt humiliated after he answered. The king of the kingdom was behaving like an obedient baby in front of Li Lingtian. How embarrassing was this in front of the world's army and experts? However, he could not afford to regret it now. He could not control himself in front of Li Lingtian. When the experts and armies saw Qiao Yuanwu's expression, they thought of his arrogant appearance at the beginning. Countless experts felt extremely uncomfortable. They wanted to laugh, but they didn't dare to. They could only hold it in. If you want to laugh, laugh. Li Lingtian turned around and looked at the army, powerhouses, and the spectating powerhouses. He then uttered a statement that made everyone break down. However, as soon as Li Lingtian's voice fell, the entire world burst into laughter. This situation made Qiao Yuanwu want to commit suicide. I'm already here. The Heaven's Roar's capital city was destroyed because of you. Li Lingtian ignored all the powerhouses' laughter as he stared at Qiao Yuanwu and spoke indifferently again. However, his divine sense and attention swept across this world. In the end, his divine sense locked onto the imperial palace of the Heaven's Roar's capital city. A faint smile overflowed from the corner of his mouth, but this smile carried cruelty and a trace of killing intent. Chapter 8, Seeking Monthly Votes, Tips, and Recommendation Votes. If there are more votes, add more tomorrow. Chapter 8:12, The Lost Array, 1. 11 Li Lingtian, you're too arrogant. The destruction of the city of Heaven's Roars will depend on your ability. Qiao Yuanwu's expression turned ugly. He was nothing but an ant in front of Li Lingtian. However, when he looked at the restriction array divine pearl in his hand, a trace of comfort appeared on his face. He also found a trace of support in his heart. As long as the restriction array divine pearl was around, no one would be able to break through the city. Moreover, he had a powerful backer behind him. As long as Li Lingtian entered the city, he would be able to destroy Li Lingtian. At this time, the defensive array formation of the City of Heaven's Roars had long been restored. Separated by the powerful array formation, Qiao Yuanwu's expression was calm. However, they all knew that Qiao Yuanwu's heart was trembling. You are very ignorant and useless. Even if you want to submit to me, you are not qualified. I'll let you see how I destroy your city. Li Lingtian said calmly as he floated in the air. His elegant aura and otherworldly temperament were mesmerizing. He stretched out his hand and pointed at the Heaven's Roar's capital city, looking as if he was pointing out the country. After saying that, his eyes revealed a trace of disdain. The corners of his mouth curled up into a faint smile that made people feel afraid. This was because behind the smile was the indication that Li Lingtian was about to make his move. Instantly, countless powerhouses and armies turned to look at Li Lingtian. Although Li Lingtian was famous, not many people had seen him in action. Now, they were all curious about what Li Lingtian could do to break the forbidden array Divine Pearl. Divine Array Diagram, Sacrifice. Li Lingtian did not say another word. He moved his divine consciousness and muttered to himself. A stream of light flashed between his brows and the divine array appeared before him. The 1 foot wide and 3 foot long divine array diagram flashed with a dazzling golden light. It looked extremely magical. Following that, Li Lingshan's 10 fingers flicked continuously as he cast a series of hand seals. Lu Haotian and the others were looking at Li Lingtian excitedly. It had been a long time since they saw Li Lingtian personally cast the array to break the formation. This was definitely a once-in-lifetime opportunity. As array masters, they naturally wouldn't let go of such an opportunity. If he could gain some insight from Li Lingshan's technique when he watched Li Lingtian cast the array, it would definitely be of great help to his array Dao, and he might even be able to achieve a breakthrough. In this world, the Dao techniques are unparalleled. There are 3,000 major worlds and thousands of minor worlds. There are as many Daos as there are worlds. The Dao of formations is one of them, but it is the most mysterious one. The array Dao can also be said to be a branch of the heavenly Dao. One can control the array Dao to comprehend the heavenly Dao. Array Dao. The small is the array, the big is the Dao, the extreme is the saint, and the transformation is the heavenly Dao. The divine martial continent will always be a formation, not a Dao. Therefore, the experts of the world can only wander around in the formation. Li Lingshan's 10 fingers moved as he cast a series of incantation gestures. However, the more he moved, the slower his execution became. Lu Haotian and the others behind him could clearly see every single technique and incantation gesture. Moreover, as he executed the technique, he spoke indifferently. Instantly, Lu Haotian and the others were extremely grateful. They knew that Li Lingtian was taking this opportunity to preach to them. How much they could understand and accept would depend on their luck. Similarly, countless troops and powerhouses were shocked. They did not expect Li Lingtian to be so proficient in array Dao that it was beyond their imagination. Moreover, he was impressed by Li Lingshan's boldness and charisma. To think that he would speak in front of tens of millions of troops and powerhouses at this time. He had completely disregarded the array in the capital city of Heaven's Roars. For a moment, the army and the experts fell silent. Although Li Lingtian was only talking about array Dao, powerhouses could gain some insight from his words. This was a genius. The opportunity for a genius came from thousands of spiritual comprehensions. Often, a small matter would bring about an opportunity. Now that Li Lingtian was talking about the array Dao of the heavenly axiom, the martial Dao was also a part of the heavenly axiom. Naturally, everything would return to its roots. Boom! After an unknown period of time, the air trembled and an explosion sounded. The explosion woke up all the powerhouses and the army. At that moment, Li Lingtian was still floating in the air. However, a mysterious radiance appeared in his hand. In front of him was a magical world of light and shadow. The light shadows were crystal clear, as if they were illusions. However, these light shadows carried a magical array path, as if thousands of stars were moving. Instantly, countless troops and powerhouses stared blankly at the light and shadow array formation in front of Li Lingtian. The light shadow formation that was 1,000 meters wide flashed with a faint mysterious light. Restriction formation divine bead, activate. Qiao Yuanwu felt a tinge of fear when he saw the array formation before Li Lingtian. Although the array formation Li Lingtian cast did not seem powerful and he did not know what kind of array it was, anything that Li Lingtian created was terrifying. He didn't dare to hesitate any longer. With a flick of his divine sense, a mysterious bead appeared in his palm, the Forbidden Array Divine Bead. The Forbidden Array Divine Pearl emitted a powerful and mysterious light. The light became stronger and stronger. Instantly, the defense array of the entire Heaven's Roar's capital city disappeared at this moment. A dazzling light erupted from the Forbidden Array Divine Pearl. The dazzling light was like the rising sun, making people unable to help but get excited. The entire army and powerhouses on the battlefield, as well as the powerhouses who were watching from afar, looked at Li Lingtian curiously. They wanted to know if Li Lingtian could break the Forbidden Array Divine Pearl and what kind of array he was casting. However, no one knew what kind of array this array was, nor did they know the level of this array. However, some of them cried out in surprise when they saw the array. 12 Ancient Divine Formations. Time Lost Formation. Lu Haoshan's expression was one of shock, but it soon turned into excitement. He stared at the array formation in front of Li Lingtian with a dazed look as the corners of his mouth twitched before he finally exclaimed. Lu Haoshan's entire body trembled as if he had been electrocuted when he saw Li Lingtian's array. Time Lost Formation? Could it be the lost formation of the 12 most powerful divine formations of the ancient times? How is this possible? Only a divine array master can cast the 12 ancient divine arrays. Could he be a divine array master? The lost formation is a type of time formation. If you can control any one of them, you can sweep the world. It really is the time lost formation. Countless powerhouses exclaimed in surprise when they heard Lu Haoshan's words. They looked at Li Lingtian as if they had seen a miracle. It was like a martial artist seeing an ancient divine artifact or a longevity medicine. This is not the 12 ancient divine formations. But it is indeed the time lost formation, 1/9 of the time lost formation. With my cultivation base, I can only control 1/9 of the lost formation time. Li Lingtian looked at the array before him and pointed at it with his finger. The array quickly pressed forward while he followed behind them at a moderate pace, heading toward the capital city of Heaven's Roars. Indeed, this array was cast by him using the divine array diagram, but it did not mean that he was truly in control. Moreover, this lost array was a divine array, and it was one of the most powerful divine arrays. No matter if it was in ancient times or ancient times, this divine array existed, and it was the most powerful array. There was no one like it. This was because the power of this array formation was heaven-defying. No one had truly used it before. This array formation was related to the heavenly Tao, so this array formation was only one of the flaws. The lost formation could reverse time and travel back to the past. Although this was somewhat heaven-defying and exaggerated, no one really knew how powerful this array formation was. It was because it had not been used that it was said to be so powerful. However, even if it was an incomplete array formation, its power was still heaven-defying. Hush! All the experts and the army could not help but gasp. The army and powerhouses were shocked and they heard Li Lingtian say that it was the time-lost formation. At that moment, everyone was looking at Li Lingtian curiously to see how powerful the time-lost formation was and whether it could really break through the Heaven's Roar's capital city's defense formation. They were also looking at Xiao Yuanwu expectantly, wondering if the formation-restricting divine pearl could really break all formations. For a moment, the sky was extremely quiet. This battle had completely turned into a battle of array defense and offense. Sisi. Walala. Chi, shishi. Hu. In the air, the time-lost formation continued to tear apart space, as if it wanted to reverse the time in the entire sky. A mysterious halo formed into a flickering pattern. These patterns were reflected in the array's light projection. Li Lingtian's entire being was shrouded in the array's radiance, making him appear extremely mysterious. Rumble. When the heavens sensed the appearance of the time-lost formation, they roared. Thunder and lightning broke the silence of the space. The entire space was filled with lightning and thunder. However, the time-lost formation in front of Li Lingtian was not affected by the electric arcs and lightning bolts. It ignored the influence of the space completely and quickly pressed down on the roaring Heavenly King's city. Boom! Finally, the light and shadow formation collided with the powerful light of the forbidden formation Divine Pearl. Heaven and earth trembled, and countless armies began to tremble. Their eyes were fixed on the distant sky, wanting to see who would win and who would lose. From the moment Li Lingtian cast the array formation to the moment the array formation attacked the light of the forbidden array Divine Pearl, the entire process seemed to have taken a long time. However, the actual process only took a dozen seconds. The light and shadow array formation and the mysterious light continued to erode. For a moment, there was no way to determine the outcome. None of the experts dared to look away, afraid that they would miss any exciting moment. However, as time passed, the light of the light shadow array and the forbidden array Divine Pearl changed. Chapter 8:13, City of Heaven's Roar Shattered. At this moment, all the troops and experts exclaimed in surprise. This was because the time-loss formation in front of Li Lingtian completely ignored the light of the forbidden formation Divine Pearl and devoured the mysterious radiance. The light-shadow array quickly pressed down, and the mysterious light of the Heaven's Roar's capital city also quickly disappeared. At this rate, it would only take a short time for the time-loss array to devour this light. The forbidden array Divine Pearl was still helpless against Li Lingtian's time-lost array. Qiao Yuanhua's expression was extremely unsightly. The forbidden array Divine Pearl in his hand was a divine artifact and a supreme treasure of the world. There was no other treasure like it in this world. He did not expect that Li Lingtian would be able to break through such a treasure. His psychological defense was broken and his heart began to tremble. You, how can you seal the light of the formation God bead? Qiao Yuanwu stammered as he looked at Li Lingtian in confusion. However, the forbidden array Divine Pearl in his hand continued to emit a powerful and dazzling light. His entire Buddha's true essence was also rapidly injected, completely ignoring the fact that his true essence had already reached the point of exhaustion. I said you were ignorant. You have the forbidden array Divine Pearl. You are indeed the nemesis of the Holy Array Master. But in front of me, you have no chance. Because I have already surpassed the scope of a Holy Array Master. Furthermore, this time-lost array has surpassed the scope of any divine array. What you are facing might not be an array. Are you saying that you are the only one allowed to have the forbidden array Divine Pearl, but I am not allowed to have a treasure that can restrain your forbidden array Divine Pearl? Li Lingtian had a smile on his face as a hint of disdain seeped out from the corner of his mouth. In the end, he looked at the divine array diagram beside him. This divine array diagram was an array path supreme treasure. There was no single nemesis in this world. Just like the 5 elements, they were mutually reinforcing and countering each other. No matter how heaven-defying a treasure or attribute was, there was something that could restrain it. The forbidden array Divine Pearl was powerful and heaven-defying. The array cast by a Holy Array Master would be countered, but it could not restrain the array cast by a Divine Array Master. Furthermore, the Divine Array diagram in Li Lingtian's hands could counter the forbidden array Divine Pearl. Upon hearing Li Lingtian's words, all the powerhouses understood that Li Lingtian had the upper hand since long ago. It was a piece of cake for him to destroy the forbidden array Divine Pearl. Seeing this, all the powerhouses were even more fearful of Li Lingtian. It was the scariest thing to encounter such an all-round powerhouse. I see. Sacrifice. Upon hearing Li Lingtian's words, Qiao Yuanhua's face revealed an expression of I see. Then, he activated his divine mindfulness and released a wisp of blood essence. The blood essence gushed into the forbidden array Divine Pearl. Instantly, the forbidden formation Divine Bead received the enhancement of the blood essence, and its light suddenly soared. Li Lingtian's time-loss formation trembled slightly when the forbidding formation Divine Pearl's power increased. However, it quickly stabilized. 5 Elements World. As long as you are in this world, you will not be able to escape from my palm. Heaven and earth are balanced. The 5 elements are gathered. Withdraw. Li Lingshan's body flashed strangely and he passed through the time-lost formation in a strange manner. He arrived before the formation and bypassed the light of the forbidden array divine pearl before he made a strange grabbing motion across the air with one hand. A mysterious force of heaven and earth surged toward the forbidden array divine pearl. Immediately, the forbidden array divine pearl seemed to be imprisoned by a mysterious force as it quickly escaped from Qiao Yuanhua's palm and flew toward Li Lingtian. After losing the connection, the power of the forbidden array divine pearl instantly disappeared. In the blink of an eye, the forbidden array divine pearl was in Li Lingshan's hands. With a flash, Li Lingtian disappeared and reappeared on the war god. With a strange smile on his face, he muttered to himself and chanted an incantation. After this chant, the world trembled. The air distorted and tore apart, and the sky became distorted and uneasy, as if the end of the world had arrived. Boom! With a destructive explosion, a destructive halo erupted above the heavens roar's capital city. The halo spread in all directions, affecting hundreds of miles. The city wall was also reduced to nothingness. Everything on top of the city wall was reduced to nothingness. Space was constantly torn apart in front of this halo. The army that had originally retreated to the Heaven Roar's capital city also lost more than half under the ripples of this halo. The army that remained was less than 3 million. Between heaven and earth, energy raged and space fluctuated. The army and experts of the Carefree Empire, as well as the experts of the various kingdoms who were watching the battle, all trembled when they saw the destructive halo. If they were in that halo, how many chances would they have to survive? The answer was not a single chance at all. Those who obey will prosper. Those who rebel will die. Li Lingtian watched as the city walls of the capital city of Heaven's Roars were destroyed. It was the perfect time for the army to attack. His eyes were cold as he shouted out these 3 words. The 30 million soldiers below also replied loudly. Their entire aura soared in front of these 3 simple words, and their shocking aura caused the earth to tremble. Kill them. Kill them. Li Lingshan's face was filled with excitement as he felt the blood-boiling aura. He made a killing gesture with one hand and the 30 million strong army charged toward the capital city of Heaven's Roars like a raging wave. Countless powerhouses were like sharp arrows, entering the Heaven's Roars capital city. Instantly, the battle truly began. Boom! However, the moment the Carefree Dynasty's army came into contact with the city of Heaven's Roars, a shocking explosion sounded. Space seemed to have been sealed. Countless armies and experts were trapped in the air at this moment. The trapped experts and armies instantly lost their vitality. Countless soldiers and experts did not have time to stop and were also trapped in the air. The world was filled with an icy cold aura. In the sky, there were no glaciers like the one that froze 10,000 miles. However, all the armies and powerhouses that entered the Heaven's Roar's capital city were imprisoned. Seeing this scene, countless experts and armies were stunned and quickly retreated. Li Lingtian stood on the war god with a calm expression on his face. However, at this moment, the corners of his mouth kept muttering, but outsiders could not hear a single sound. He sent a secret message. It's finally here. After a while, the army retreated to a safe place and their eyes were fixed on Li Lingtian. Normally, an army would not retreat during a siege, but it was understandable for them to encounter such a situation. Such a heaven-defying strange thing, even if there were thousands of them, they would still be courting death. All of a sudden, all the troops and powerhouses were looking at Li Lingtian, waiting for his orders or for any solution he had to deal with the destructive cold Yin Qi. A faint cold aura floated in the air. This cold aura made people tremble and feel afraid. This world had become gloomy and indescribably strange and oppressive. Li Lingtian observed the situation in the air. The Yin Qi in the air was indeed laced with Yin poison and cold poison. The two combined to form a destructive Yin Qi. Moreover, he also discovered that this cold Yin Qi came from the depths of the imperial palace. It seemed that some super expert had cast this strange cold Yin formation. He opened his mouth and spoke indifferently as if he was talking to himself. His body swayed as he crossed 10 miles forward and stopped 10 miles before the roaring sky Emperor City. So. Just as Li Lingtian arrived at the entrance of the capital city of Heaven's Roars, two peerless figures approached him. Tang Qingyue and Qing Ling stood on Li Lingshan's left and right. Their expressions were calm and unperturbed. During this period of time, the three of them had been in seclusion to study this Yin poison and cold poison. The three of them had formed a joint formation. Tang Qingyue had the Yin body and Qing Ling had the ice element. They cultivated the 9 Yin scripture. With their cultivation base, Li Lingshan's ice soul martial soul, and countless ice element techniques, they were completely capable of resisting the frost poison and Yin poison. Come out. A mere Yin Qi can deal with some ordinary people, but if you want to play tricks in front of me, you will appear petty. Li Lingtian, Tang Qingyue, and Qing Ling looked at each other before shouting. His voice was like a dragon's roar that spread throughout the entire battlefield and finally into the Heaven Roar's capital city. Upon hearing Li Lingshan's words, all the powerhouses understood that the cold Yin energy was unleashed by a powerhouse. It appeared that Li Lingtian was prepared for this, otherwise, he would not have called out to the other party with such confidence. CC. Crash. More and more Yin energy gathered in the air. The experts and the army that had been imprisoned gradually turned into pieces and disappeared into thin air. Just this alone had caused hundreds of thousands of people to die in the Xiaoyao dynasty's army, and countless experts had also vanished. If the entire army entered the city, all the experts and the army would be imprisoned. However, Li Lingtian was the only one who understood that even if the entire army entered, they would not necessarily be destroyed. This was because the cultivation of the powerhouses inside was limited and they could not control such a powerful force. If too many experts and armies entered, it would only dilute and disperse the Yin Qi. It would not be able to instantly destroy so many experts and armies. Destroy. In the sky, no experts appeared. Instead, the cold air became even denser. Li Lingshan's expression slowly changed when he saw that there was no movement in the sky. He waited for a moment but there was still no movement. When he saw this, his aura burst forth. With a light shout, he waved a hand, and a destructive aura bombarded the Heaven's Roar's capital city. The destructive power directly penetrated the cold air and crashed into the Heaven's Roar's capital city. The destructive aura tore through space. All the experts felt fear when they saw this destructive attack. This attack was not something a young martial saint could unleash. Even a 9th heavenly layer martial saint powerhouse would not have such a terrifying attack. Moreover, this attack was unleashed by Li Lingtian casually. This attack was enough to show how terrifying Li Lingtian was. Li Lingshan's terror was not something the powerhouses present could compare to. The terrifying attack landed in the depths of the palace like a meteor. Chapter 8:14, For Martial God Experts, 1. Boom! The destructive attack struck the depths of the palace, and a destructive halo instantly erupted. This destructive halo was no less powerful than the explosion of the array formation at the beginning. It was even more powerful. Countless buildings, experts, and armies were all destroyed. The imperial palace of the City of Heaven's Roars was destroyed in front of this attack. However, the fragments that were flying in all directions stopped at this moment. It was as if time had stopped. All the experts looked at everything as if they were watching an illusion. However, amidst this flying force, four black-robed figures appeared in the eyes of all the experts. Terrifying cold auras radiated from the 4 black-robed experts. This aura was extremely cold, and it was no different from the aura that destroyed the army just now. When all the experts saw these 4 figures, they all cried out in surprise. Martial God Expert. Martial God Expert. For martial gods. So it's a martial god expert. No wonder he's so terrifying. Could it be that I have to fight against 4 martial god experts alone? A martial god expert is actually hiding here. No wonder the people of the Heaven's Roar's capital city wanted to resist him. Turns out he has the support of a martial god powerhouse. For martial god experts are enough to wipe him out. All of a sudden, all the powerhouses were shocked. They had never thought Theta martial god powerhouse would appear in this place. Moreover, four martial god experts had appeared at once. For martial god experts were heaven-defying. In the divine martial continent, martial god realm experts were extremely rare. It was very rare to see one. The ratio of martial saints to martial god realm experts was 1 in 100,000. Usually, there might not even be one martial god realm expert among 100,000 martial saints. What was even more shocking was that the number of martial gods in Xuanzhou could be counted on 10 fingers. He did not expect so many martial gods to appear at once. Countless powerhouses were already certain of Li Lingshan's fate. No matter how heaven-defying Li Lingtian was, he was no match for the martial god, let alone the four martial gods. Li Lingtian was known to have killed a martial god powerhouse, but in the eyes of these powerhouses, they would never believe it if they did not witness it with their own eyes. Li Lingtian looked at the four black-clad powerhouses with a calm expression on his face, but he was shocked. He did not expect four martial god experts to appear in this place. He originally thought that there was only one terrifying martial god, but he did not expect there to be four terrifying martial god experts. Only he knew that the four martial gods looked no different from ordinary martial gods. However, the cultivation techniques that these four martial gods cultivated were extremely vicious. They were all sinister and cold. Li Lingtian, I've been waiting for you for a long time. I didn't expect you to only show up now. I'm so disappointed. You must be shocked and trembling. Let me introduce you so that you don't know who will kill you when you die. I am Hai Jeming, this is Bai Yuntian, this is Bai Yunbian, and this is Qinghu. Did you commit suicide or did I not do anything? Four martial god experts appeared in the air. Their bodies were cold, and the space trembled in front of the four black-robed experts. The air began to distort, and the atmosphere of the entire world became oppressive and strange. No army or expert dared to make the slightest sound, lest they alarmed these four terrifying martial god experts and suffered a destructive blow. The might of a martial god could completely suppress all experts and armies, let alone for martial gods appearing in the air. The four martial gods didn't move at all, and they didn't exert any pressure. However, the atmosphere in the air made everyone feel pressured. A person's reputation was like a tree's shadow. This was the power of a martial god expert. Just this realm alone was enough to make the experts and the army present tremble in fear. Hai Jeming hovered in the air, his eyes sweeping across the army and the experts, a disdainful look on his face. In front of him, martial artists below the martial god realm were all ants. In his eyes, Li Lingtian was just a slightly bigger ant. Looking at the army and experts trembling in front of them, a sense of superiority rose in their hearts. When she spoke to Li Lingtian, her tone was like she was judging Li Lingtian. The 30 million strong army and all the powerhouses looked at Li Lingtian and Hai Jeming, but none of them dared to speak. In their eyes, Li Lingshan's fate was to vanish into thin air. Moreover, Li Lingtian would either submit and lower his head in front of a martial god powerhouse or tremble in fear. Trash. However, he did not expect Li Lingtian to remain calm after Hai Jeming's words. He looked as if he was at ease with a faint smile on his face. They were both shocked and impressed by his expression. Even if they were to become Li Lingshan's opponents in the future, they could not help but admire Li Lingshan's calmness. His calmness alone was incomparable to any other warrior. To their surprise, Li Lingshan's lips curled into a smile as he uttered a single word. Li Lingshan's words sounded calm, but it was like a thunderclap to the army and powerhouses. One had to know that this was a martial saint scolding four martial gods as trash. What kind of concept was this? They're just four good-for-nothings. They're like clowns. Before I deal with you, jump around as much as you want. When the time comes, it's best not to tremble. Li Lingtian was not done yet. His expression remained unchanged as he scanned the four men with contempt. The corners of his mouth revealed a disdainful expression. Although he was shocked, he understood that a war could not be avoided at this time. Since it could not be avoided, he had to prepare for the battle from the beginning. The battle of mentality and aura would enrage the four of them before the battle, causing them to lose their aura before the battle. As expected, before Li Lingtian could finish his sentence, the four martial gods in the air were enraged. Their expressions changed drastically as they turned pale and trembled in anger. This was something they had never expected. Initially, they thought that the four of them would make Li Lingtian tremble with fear. However, they did not expect Li Lingtian to destroy their sense of superiority from the very beginning. The few of them felt as if they had punched cotton, and they felt inexplicably uncomfortable. Damn it. Detestable, detestable. Qing Lu and the other three were furious as they glared at Li Lingtian with vicious eyes. Suddenly, the space began to tremble strangely. The anger of the four martial gods caused the space to fluctuate. After such a long time, he had been treated like a clown and humiliated in front of tens of millions of people. He could no longer tolerate it and hated Li Lingtian to the core. Too much nonsense. Are you guys going to gang up on me, or am I going to be the only one being ganged up on? Li Lingtian took a step forward and with a wave of his hand, his aura soared. He looked extremely dashing as if he was fighting four martial gods alone. This unrestrained action made countless experts extremely excited. A martial saint fighting against four martial gods was definitely a legend. Seeing this legend with his own eyes was definitely the greatest gain in his life. Upon hearing Li Lingtian's words, they were stunned for a moment before they burst into laughter. This was because Li Lingtian intended for the four of them to fight against four people at once. Even a martial god would not dare to fight against a martial god like this. Yet, a martial god dared to fight against four martial gods. While the powerhouses were still in shock, Li Lingtian's true essence had been channeled to the maximum. The true dragon body barrier was activated and the limitless feather coat was activated. His aura was soaring rapidly. The entire space trembled at this moment, and the air continued to distort. His terrifying aura had already surpassed the realm of a martial saint. Even a martial god expert might not be able to compare to his aura. Heavenly Demon Region. Let's go. Li Lingtian shouted softly. Things had come to this and he had successfully angered the four of them. As long as the four of them did not join forces, he could still hold them back. If they were really in danger, he would not fight alone. Boom! The expressions on the four men's faces changed. If they were to fight Li Lingtian alone, they would not have the confidence to win. After all, they had heard about Li Lingtian's strength recently. Judging from Li Lingtian's terrifying aura, he was definitely not as simple as a martial saint. If the four of them were to fight Li Lingtian together, they would lose face even if they won. For a moment, they all fell into deep thought. They did not know if one of them would fight or join forces. Just as they were hesitating, Li Lingtian's destructive aura and pressure pressed down on them. The four men's auras clashed with Li Lingtian's heavenly demon domain. Instantly, the destructive auras collided and produced a terrifying tear. The space was torn apart at this moment and endless gales wreaked havoc in the sky. Shoo! The four martial gods, as well as the tens of millions of soldiers and experts present, all exhaled a breath of cold air after the clash of auras. Li Lingtian and the four martial gods were forced back by the destructive momentum. They only stabilized after retreating for several miles. All the powerhouses were shocked by Li Lingtian's imposing manner. Was he still a martial saint? A martial saint had actually used his aura to repel four martial gods. Only someone with heaven-defying strength could have such a terrifying aura. Hai Jiaming and the other three were shocked as well. It was only then that they finally understood how powerful Li Lingtian was. This young man could not be measured by his age or realm. Flaming Sacred Body. 9 Suns Sacred Flame. Thunderclap Wings. Li Lingtian floated in the air as his heart raced. However, he could not find the opponent's weakness. As a martial saint, he was facing four martial gods. No matter how heaven-defying he was not a match for the four of them. His most domineering attacks were single attacks. He had a few group attacks, but against the martial gods, he was simply tickling them. The only thing he could do now was to display his defense. If the other party attacked together, he wouldn't be so stupid as to pretend to be a hero. Brother Qinglu, let's go together. Let's not delay any longer. After we kill him, will you hurry back? Hai Jiaming no longer hesitated when he saw Li Lingshan's skill and attributes. He did not have much confidence in fighting this young man alone. Moreover, even if he defeated and killed Li Lingtian, he would still be injured. As a martial god powerhouse, any injury would affect his cultivation. Chapter 8:15, Power Contest, 1. Alright, let's join forces and kill him. Qinglu nodded and answered. He naturally understood Li Lingshan's strength. If it was a one-on-one fight, he could not take the risk. His voice was not loud, but countless experts heard him. Instantly, countless powerhouses were shocked. They did not expect the four martial god hidden powerhouses to join forces to deal with Li Lingtian. As a result, Li Lingshan's reputation grew to the point where four martial gods joined forces to deal with him. In the divine martial continent, there was no other martial saint powerhouse that could make a martial god powerhouse fight. Unless it was a powerhouse at the peak of the 9th heavenly layer of the martial saint realm. Even so, there was no way four martial gods would join forces. Moreover, Li Lingtian was only a young 1st heavenly layer martial saint. In an instant, the entire battlefield fell silent. This battle was no longer an ordinary battle. It was a battle between supreme experts. Are you sure you want to join forces to fight me? Li Lingshan's expression remained the same when he saw that the four of them were about to join forces. It's just 4 people. So what? What about you? Hai Jiaming was stunned when he heard Li Lingshan's words. A smile then appeared on his face as he uttered such a despicable statement. The numerous powerhouses and the army were rendered speechless. Even a martial god powerhouse was so shameless. All right. Then don't regret it when the time comes. Li Lingshan's lips curled into a cruel smile as he took a step back in a flash, forming a strange formation with Qjianji Ling and Tang Zhenji. At the same time, his divine sense moved, and the air trembled slightly. A huge demon beast appeared in the air. The huge demonic beast floated in the air like a huge mountain range, but it emitted a destructive and terrifying aura. This aura made countless experts feel waves of fear. Even Hai Jiaming and the other 3 felt the pressure. 9th Order Monster Beast. A 9th rank demonic beast is equivalent to a martial god expert. Looks like Sir Ling Tian won't fight alone. Are you stupid? The other 4 martial gods shamelessly teamed up to bully Sir Ling Tian. The war god is also this shameless? A level 1 9th rank demonic beast is not much different from a 1st firmament war god. However, Sir Ling Tian's cultivation base is only at the martial saint realm. Even if his strength is heaven-defying, he can only deal with a martial god. For a moment, countless experts began to discuss. Now, they had the courage to discuss it because the 4 martial gods were joining forces to deal with Li Lingtian. There was no time to be distracted. Even if they were to discuss it, the martial god powerhouses would not be in the mood to deal with them. However, what happened next immediately shocked all the experts. The army of the Carefree dynasty also exclaimed. After the exclamation, they were even more excited. Li Lingshan's expression remained calm as he looked at the 4 martial god powerhouses. Since you're bullying me, then I won't be polite. Only I bully others. No one has ever dared to bully me. Li Lingtian spoke indifferently. After he was done speaking, he looked into the void with a smile. None of the powerhouses understood what Li Lingtian meant by that. They suspected that Li Lingtian was pretending to be strong to stall for time. However, the air trembled at this moment. Using numbers to bully the few is not the style of a strong person. That's right. Since you want to bully us with numbers, then we won't be polite. In the air, two voices appeared. The voices were conversing, completely ignoring the experts and the army below. The voice was extremely calm, but the appearance of this voice at this time did indeed make the atmosphere of the battlefield even more oppressive and strange. This place was filled with super experts. If there were experts hiding in the air, they would be seen by the martial saint and martial god. However, the owner of these two voices had been hiding in the air all this time. No one could tell what kind of powerful cultivation and strength they had. Just as all the experts were in shock, they looked up at the sky. Two old men in their 50s appeared in the air. They were in great spirits. One of them was dressed in Confucian robes while the other was dressed in Taoist attire. The two of them slowly descended from the sky and hovered not too far away from Li Lingtian. Both of them looked at Li Lingtian with utmost respect. Martial God expert. Another martial god expert. Two martial gods. It's Martial Saint Outyan. No, it's Lord Martial God. Isn't this the #1 martial saint of the great Shang Kingdom, Reverend Tian Chengzi? How come he has also reached the martial god realm? Could it be that they are all from the Carefree Empire? I didn't expect that after the battle at the Carefree Empire, both of them would reach the martial god realm. It was already heaven-defying to begin with. Now that I've become a war god, it's even more unimaginable. All the powerhouses were stunned when they saw the appearance of Yun Ao Tian and the other man. Both of them were martial god realm experts. Their terrifying cultivation and strength caused the aura in the air to tremble. Yun Ao Tian and Tian Chengzi's reputation was not any less than Li Lingshan's in the past. Naturally, there were countless people who knew them. However, after becoming martial gods, all the powerhouses were even more shocked. At the same time, he looked at Li Lingtian. Only Li Lingtian, the divine martial continent's #1 divine alchemist, could create such a martial god. The army and experts of the Xiaoyao dynasty were all excited. Greetings, Lord War God. Greetings, Lord War God. All the troops and powerhouses bowed to Yun Ao Tian and the other man. Although this was not a half-kneeling ceremony, it was already heaven-defying to receive such treatment. The greeting of an army of 30 million and tens of thousands of experts had already raised the status of these two to a lofty level. Martial gods could be counted on 10 fingers in the Black Continent. In the eyes of martial artists, martial gods were gods. Now that these two martial gods were the martial gods of the Carefree dynasty, they naturally had to be respected. Hai Jeming and the other three were stunned. There were 4 of them, 3 of Li Lingshan's group, and a demonic beast that was comparable to a martial god. With such strength and numbers, the situation was completely out of their expectations. Seeing that Yun Ao Tian and the other 2 were worshipped by an army of tens of millions while they were only humiliated, such a difference in treatment made them feel disappointed and angry. This subordinate greets young master. Greetings, young madam. When Yun Ao Tian and Tian Chengzi saw the tens of millions of troops and experts paying their respects, they were incomparably happy. This was the treatment of a martial god, this was the status of a martial god. The martial god was already high and mighty in the divine martial continent. He had already reached a god-like status among the martial artists. However, they understood that Li Lingtian had helped them achieve their goals. Without him, they would not exist. Moreover, even if they had become martial gods, they were still nothing in front of Li Lingtian. Li Lingtian could help them or destroy them. In their hearts, Li Lingtian was their benefactor and their master. He was a master whom they could protect with their lives and would be loyal to them forever. This was the only way to repay Li Lingshan's kindness. After all the troops paid their respects, the 2 of them waved their hands and all the troops and experts stood up. In the end, he turned around and bowed respectfully to Li Lingtian. His face was filled with respect and adoration while his eyes were filled with Yucheng without any falsehood. At the same time, they also greeted Tang Genji and Qing Ling. They understood the importance of Tang Genji and Qjng Ling in Li Lingshan's heart. The powerhouses and the army were shocked by this situation. This was the charm of a master. No matter how powerful and superior they were all subordinates in front of Li Lingtian. Li Lingtian was the supreme master in their hearts and would always be the most respected master. Yes. The three of you, hold the line for me. I'll take care of them one by one. Fuck, they're bullying me because I'm outnumbered. Let's see what they can do. Li Lingtian nodded in satisfaction and nodded softly. The moment he spoke, countless powerhouses staggered and nearly fell. They were speechless at Li Lingshan's words and their faces were filled with black lines. However, they were slightly satisfied with the fact that the four martial gods were ganging up on Li Lingtian. This was bullying. Now that Li Lingtian had revealed his true strength, he was fully qualified to speak. Naturally, he would not let the other party off easily. Those who came out to mingle would have to pay back sooner or later. Swoosh, swoosh. Yun Ao Tian and Tian Qingzi did not speak, but they answered Li Lingtian with their actions. The two of them spread out and formed a three-legged confrontation with the gorilla monster, surrounding Hai Jeming and the other three. This situation completely stunned the experts. Two people and a monster actually wanted to surround and kill the four martial gods. Even if they didn't surround and kill them, they were at least holding them back. Like master, like subordinates. Hai Jeming, you motherfucker. Get out here. Li Lingtian waited for Yun Ao Tian and the others to get into position before the smile on his face grew wider. His tone was no longer as calm as before but was filled with curses. At this moment, he had the initiative. He had the initiative on the entire battlefield. However, he was extremely serious in his heart. After all, the cultivation of these four experts was strange, and the cultivation techniques they cultivated were extremely strange and vicious. After saying that, he looked at Tang Genji and Xingling and nodded. Whoosh, whoosh. The trio's strange formation became ethereal. Li Lingshan's aura was filled with the power of destructive flames. The terrifying flaming sacred body, coupled with the nine suns sacred flame from his previous life, seemed to be able to destroy the entire space. However, Tang Genji and Xingling were displaying a terrifying icy aura. Both of their physiques were abnormal. One had the Tai Yin body, while the other had the 9 Yin absolute meridians and cultivated the 9 Yin scripture. Immediately, the three of them erupted with destructive flames and icy QJ. Two extreme attributes erupted at this moment. Two worlds formed in the sky. Countless experts and armies quickly retreated. A great battle between martial god powerhouses represented the destruction of heaven and earth. If the distance was too close, one would suffer the disaster of the fish pond. Chapter 8:16, Martial God Hai Jeming, 1. Boom. Boom. The destructive power of the flames burned the space, and the cold air seemed to freeze the world. The extreme world appeared at this moment. Seeing this, Hai Jeming and the other three were shocked. The cold poison and Yin poison cultivation techniques that they cultivated happened to be Yin cold chi. The power of the cold Yin energy was terrifying and destructive even among experts of the same level. In a battle between experts of the same level, they could completely kill their opponents. Even if they were first heaven martial gods, they still had the power to fight against second heaven martial gods. In their eyes, dealing with Li Lingtian was a piece of cake. Even though they were confident that they could defeat and kill Li Lingtian by themselves after witnessing Li Lingshan's formidable strength, the four of them wanted to join forces for fear of getting injured. However, they were held back by Li Lingshan's declaration of strength. Even so, they were confident that they could defeat all the powerhouses here. However, they never expected Li Lingtian and the two girls to use such a cultivation technique. It was as if the cultivation technique was specially designed for them. It was the nemesis of the Yin Qi. Good, very good. It seems that you already know our cultivation method and came up with this formation to fight us. If Hai Jeming still didn't understand, he would be a fool. It seemed that the spies from the Carefree dynasty had not been completely wiped out. Otherwise, Li Lingtian would not have used such a cultivation technique before the war even began. It was specifically designed to deal with the Yin Qi. Since you've come to the Black Continent, don't ever go back. Li Lingtian laughed out loud as he extended his hands into the air. Instantly, the space shook. 2 balls of light gradually gathered in his hands. One was blazing flames, and the other was ice. Both balls of light carried destructive power. In the world of the power of fire and the power of ice, Li Lingshan's 2 light orbs were like fish in water. Limitless holy flame. Spirit cold ice. Li Lingtian shouted softly and the space trembled. All the powerhouses felt their hearts tremble at that moment. They had heard that Li Lingtian possessed both ice and fire elements and was able to combine the 2 ultimate cultivation techniques to create a destructive force. Now, it seemed that it was indeed so. Hai Jiaming cultivated the cold Yin Qi and his cultivation method was extremely vicious. Naturally, he could imagine the terrifying power of Li Lingshan's 2 attributes. He dared not be careless at this moment. He did not dare to treat Li Lingtian as a warrior sage powerhouse but as a powerhouse who was on par with him. Profound Yin true scripture. Heavenly Yin wind splitting palm. Hai Jiaming's eyes were filled with malice. Cold energy burst out from his body and a whirlwind rose into the sky. The whirlwind was completely formed by Yin energy, and the space was instantly frozen. Seeing this scene, countless experts trembled. In the beginning, a single strand of Yin Qi could instantly kill countless experts and armies. Now that the martial god experts were using destructive techniques, their might would definitely be earth-shattering. If this attack landed on him, he would definitely disappear into thin air. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Countless armies and experts retreated once again. A battle between martial god experts could easily destroy the world. Everything within 1,000 miles was gone. Furthermore, all the powerhouses understood that after this battle, Heaven Esroar's capital city was gone. At this moment, Hai Jiaming flipped his hand in the air. The destructive cold air almost tore the space apart. At the same time, the whirlwind quickly turned into a palm shadow. The palm shadow was 1,000 meters long, and the powerful palm shadow seemed to cover the entire world. Cold air spread in all directions, and the space gradually froze. Even the experts and the army thousands of miles away felt a chill. In the blink of an eye, a destructive cold palm shadow took form, and the air distorted in front of this palm shadow. Heaven and earth changed color. Snow fell from the sky within 1,000 miles. Wherever the snowflakes fell, the air would be corroded and destroyed. Every snowflake carried a destructive cold poison and Yin poison. Any expert who touched it would die. The destructive palm shadow was already hurtling toward Li Lingtian. The might of a martial god powerhouse was enough to turn the world upside down. At the same time, Qinglu, Bai Yuntian, and Bai Yunbian circulated their cultivation techniques, but they did not dare to make a move. That was because there were still 2 martial god experts and a 9th-tier demonic beast staring at them not far away. If they made a move, the other party would also attack at the first moment. Now that Hai Jiaming was fighting Li Lingtian, a warrior sage was fighting a martial god. In their minds, no matter how powerful Li Lingtian was, he was no match for the martial god. Even with the help of the 2 girls, they were only using their cultivation techniques. This technique was only used to suppress Hai Jiaming's Yin Qi, but it didn't have any real offensive power. Now, it was time to see if Li Lingtian or Hai Jiaming was more powerful. The entire battle was now focused on Li Lingtian and Hai Jiaming. All the powerhouses and the army were extremely excited and shocked. They were excited to see Li Lingshan's martial saint battling the martial god, but they were shocked by Li Lingshan's strength. If he could defeat the martial god, he would become the opponent of all powerhouses in the future. By then, he would surely be feared by all powerhouses in the world. 9 heavens, 4th heaven, forbidden. Li Lingtian looked at the palm shadow in the air and unleashed the power of fire and power of ice from his entire body. As he clasped his hands together, a destructive aura erupted between heaven and earth. One was death, and the other was destruction. The two auras strangely fused and mutated, finally turning into the aura of extermination. In the end, the space quickly trembled, and the world became strange. After becoming a martial saint, the cultivation of his entire body had sublimated, and any skill or divine art could turn something rotten into something magical. At this moment, the power of the ninth heaven had already reached the transcendent state. The power of the fourth heaven was simply a taboo existence. At once, Li Lingshan's hands were clasped together and a pillar of light appeared. The pillar of light carried a forbidden power, and the powerhouses and armies in the world trembled when they saw this attack. Li Lingshan's cultivation stayed aside. The destructive taboo power of the light pillar alone was enough to make a martial god powerhouse feel fear. In the air, the light beam blasted toward the palm's shadow. All the experts stared at the two destructive attacks, their hearts thumping non-stop. Boom! Finally, the two attacks collided. From the moment Li Lingtian unleashed the Binghua Nine Heavens to the moment the two attacks collided, the entire process seemed to take a long time, but it was only a blink of an eye. The two attacks collided, and space began to shatter. Then, a halo burst out. The destructive halo was like a collision between planets. Wherever the halo passed by, everything was destroyed. Even the air was destroyed. This space, within 1,000 miles, was a vacuum. Only the three black-robed experts, Yunfei Tian, and the gorilla demon were floating steadily in the air. The destructive halo pushed Qingling and Tang Qingyue 10 miles before stabilizing. Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch. The two attacks cancelled each other out, and both Li Lingtian and Hai Jeming were forced back. Seeing this scene, the experts in the distance were all shocked. They looked at the two of them in shock. They were shocked by the martial god's terrifying means and were even more shocked by Li Lingshan's dominance. A martial saint powerhouse was actually able to fight the martial god without falling into a disadvantage. Li Lingshan's heart skipped a beat as he was utterly shocked. A martial god powerhouse was indeed a martial god powerhouse. Although the martial god powerhouse he encountered this time was also at the first heaven, he was stronger than Wu Dao. He was the only one who knew how strong the power of the ninth heaven was. The power of the fourth heaven was many times stronger than that of a martial saint. However, such a powerful power did not injure the other party, let alone kill him. In a battle between experts, victory and death were in the blink of an eye. One's entire spirit and concentration did not dare to be distracted. Moreover, in a battle, all the calculations and experience were the key to victory and death. As he retreated, he had already summoned Heavenly Monarch Crimson Light. He already had a battle plan in his heart. When facing a martial god expert, he had to use his most powerful attacks and methods. Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch appeared in his hand and locked his consciousness onto Hai Jeming. He did not even look at Hai Jeming. Shoo! Countless powerhouses gasped and they saw the overbearing Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch in Li Lingshan's hand and the pressure that could crush a martial saint powerhouse. With such a divine weapon, they already had a heaven-defying advantage. Boom! Boom! Whoosh, whoosh! In the air, Heavenly Monarch Crimson Bright's ancient divine weapon's pressure continued to crush the space. Although Heavenly Monarch Crimson Bright could not unleash the power of an ancient divine weapon in Li Lingshan's hands, it had already reached the level of a supreme divine weapon. Even the power and pressure of a peerless divine artifact was not something that martial artists could withstand. Just the pressure of this peerless divine artifact was already the nemesis of martial god powerhouses. However, no one recognized the origin and power of the treasure in Li Lingshan's hand. Nonetheless, the pressure was so terrifying that they could not help but tremble. Hai Jeming's expression was extremely grave. The Yin Qi had no effect on Li Lingtian. Furthermore, Li Lingshan's strength was extremely terrifying. From the previous attack, he could tell that Li Lingtian had already surpassed the realm of a martial saint. Now that he had taken out such a heaven-defying divine artifact, it would be strange if he wasn't afraid. However, he was excited and revealed a greedy heart. If he could obtain this miracle, his strength would increase by a large margin. Dark Sky Ice Arrow. He looked at Li Lingtian with a grave expression. Feeling the destructive pressure, his aura burst forth to resist the pressure in the air. With a flick of his divine sense, an exquisite small bow appeared in front of him. He then grabbed at the air with one hand, causing the space to tremble. A tearing sound could be heard from the air, as if the space had stopped tearing. Instantly, the small bow in his hand turned into a huge bow. His right hand slowly descended from the void. In his hand, there was a destructive profound Yin Qi. The profound Yin Qi was filled with coldness. 1,000-meter-long cold energy quickly fused and compressed. In the blink of an eye, the 1,000-meter-long Yin energy formed a 5-meter-long divine arrow that continuously emitted a destructive halo. Chapter 817, The Martial God Has Fallen. Terrifying profound Yin Qi continuously wrapped around the arrow. The heavenly Yin black ice arrow condensed from profound Yin Qj stirred the space, and the world trembled at this moment. The 10-meter-long arrow was knocked on the strong bow, and a bolt of lightning instantly descended from the sky. The high heavens also felt this destructive power, as if it wanted to destroy the destructive power of this long arrow. At that moment, Li Lingtian's eyes were filled with shock. When the bow was aimed at him, it was as if the Grim Reaper was staring at him. His entire body felt threatened by death. This was the first time he had encountered such a threat since he came to this world of powerhouses. Feeling the threat of death, Li Lingtian's heart trembled. But at this moment, he did not dare to hesitate anymore. Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch waved his hand, and the destructive dark Yin fire shone on his body. A terrifying power filled the entire space. The Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch was an ancient divine weapon. With Li Lingtian's current cultivation base and his control, he could double the Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch's power. Double the power and speed. Such a terrifying existence could only be achieved by Heavenly Monarch Crimson Light. Hush! At this moment, all the true essence in his body was sucked dry. He used up all his true essence and slashed out a destructive light towards the other party. The two of them were less than 10 miles apart, and the destructive power bombarded each other fiercely. So. Boom! The heavenly sound Dark Frost arrow left the bowstring and shot through the void toward Li Lingtian. There was the sound of air being torn apart as Li Lingtian's Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch's attack came slashing down. The two attacks carried the power to tear through the air. The space in front of the two attacks continuously trembled and wailed. Countless experts and armies were stunned at this moment. The two destructive attacks were not something a martial saint could withstand. They could kill any expert. The 30 million soldiers and tens of thousands of experts tensed up, their hearts already in their throats. This attack should be the final attack between the two of them. The outcome would be decided in one blow. If Li Lingtian were to win, the battle would basically be a victory. If Li Lingtian were to lose, he would either be destroyed or injured. No matter which one it was extremely extreme. This kind of situation made anyone feel nervous. In the sky, there was no sound other than the two sounds of air being torn apart. All the experts quieted down, their eyes fixed on the two attacks. The martial god powerhouse's attack and the omnipotent powerhouse's monstrous Li Lingtian's attack were two attacks that were rarely seen in the Black Continent. At this moment, the two terrifying powerhouses were clashing against each other. Time seemed to have stopped at this moment. He didn't know how much time had passed. A moment, a second, a century, or forever. Finally, Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch's light power and the terrifying power of the Heavenly Melody Dark Frost arrow collided. Gotcha! Space was torn apart by two destructive forces. All the experts and the army were startled awake. They were even more nervous at this moment because victory and defeat would appear at this moment. Ah, ah. Ah, ah. Ah, ah. In the sky, destructive power began to tear apart. Terrifying force winds continuously tore apart the experts in the sky. There were no armies or experts within 1,000 miles, but from 1,000 miles away, the strong wind and force could still affect them. Moreover, Yunfei and the other martial god experts also felt the destructive power. They quickly cast the terrifying martial god defense to protect themselves and prevent the destructive power in the air from tearing them apart. At the same time, they focused their attention on Li Lingtian and the black-clad powerhouses. They would take action at the first sign of trouble. Boom! With a shocking explosion, Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch and the Heavenly Melody Dark Frost Arrow exploded with destructive power in the air. The two forces exploded, and the space was instantly vacuum. A pitch-black hole appeared in the sky. Ah! Puff! At this moment, Hai Jeming's face was filled with despair. This was because he had never expected such a situation to occur. The power of the Heavenly Melody Dark Frost Arrow was enough to kill Li Lingtian. This move was his trump card, his final trump card. However, Li Lingshan's Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch was too terrifying. Two attacks were unleashed at the same time. To his surprise, Li Lingshan's Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch's speed and attack were twice as powerful as Li Lingshan's maximum. It had twice the attack and twice the speed. With speed, the attack would break through the resistance of space. Speed and attack would complement each other to achieve the most powerful effect. With such terrifying speed, the attack had already collided with Heavenly Monarch Crimson Light's attack the moment the Heavenly Melody Dark Frost Arrow was shot out. Hai Jeming became the center of the explosion. If the two attacks had collided in the middle, he would not have been so unlucky. However, Li Lingshan's attack was too fast, causing the explosion to occur not too far away from Hai Jeming. With a miserable cry, his body retreated backward. At that moment, Li Lingtian spat out a mouthful of blood as his body flew backward. However, at this moment, a strange distortion appeared in the air. Mysterious Sky Divine Arrow. At the same time, a sweet voice sounded. As the voice fell, the strange distortion arrived in front of Hai Jeming. A passage seemed to have been opened in the center of the distortion. At this moment, all the martial saints finally saw clearly that this passageway was condensed by destructive spiritual energy. The destructive spiritual energy condensed into a spatial passageway, but there was an ancient long arrow in this passageway. By the time they saw it, the arrow had disappeared into the air. Mysterious Sky Divine Arrow. Time waits for me, at this moment, Hai Jeming's eyes were filled with despair. His body froze in the air and he didn't retreat. However, when she cried out in surprise, her voice was filled with unwillingness. In the end, screams rang out. The ancient arrow had already pierced through him, and his body quickly turned into pieces. Pfft! Li Lingtian spurted out another mouthful of blood, but he managed to stabilize himself. A girl hugged him from behind and stabilized his retreat. Rumble. The space exploded at this moment, and the destructive force wreaked havoc. All of this was too strange. From the start of Li Lingshan's battle to Hai Jeming being attacked by the godly arrow, the entire process seemed to take centuries, but it only took 10 seconds. However, Li Lingshan's two attacks were on par with the martial god's Hai Jeming. However, Hai Jeming was tricked by Li Lingshan's speed in the end. Although it was unexpected, Li Lingtian was right about it. One was intentional and the other was unintentional. The ending was too unexpected. At the same time, all the experts and the army were stunned. In just 10 seconds, the expert of the Sea Pavilion, Ming Wu, had died. The martial god, Hai Jeming, had fallen. Moreover, he had fallen at the hands of a martial emperor girl. A few girls appeared beside Li Lingtian. One of them stopped Li Lingtian and supported him while the others stood beside him. These girls were all peerless and charming, stunning the world. One of the girls looked extremely cute and delicate, but she held an exquisite bow in her hand. He waved his hand in the air and an exquisite short arrow appeared in his hand. At this moment, all the soldiers and experts realized that Hai Jeming was really unlucky. He had never thought that a martial god expert would fall at the hands of this delicate girl. As it turned out, Huangfu Yuyan and the others had been waiting for an opportunity on the war god when Li Lingtian was fighting Hai Gemming. In the end, Ge saw the opportunity and unleashed the mysterious heavenly divine arrow, tearing through the void to kill Hai Gemming. Free and unfettered empire. Free and unfettered empire. Young master, young master. Young master D, young master D. On the battlefield, after a short period of silence, it was suddenly in an uproar. The 30 million soldiers cheered, and countless experts cheered. In an instant, the morale of the army soared. At this moment, the Freedom King dynasty had already become the most dazzling kingdom in everyone's eyes. All the soldiers and experts were proud to be citizens of the Xiaoyao dynasty. The countless experts from the various kingdoms watching the battle from afar were completely shocked. From the start of the war, the Xiaoyao dynasty had swept forward with an invincible force. Ever since Li Lingtian appeared in Xianzhou, he had been an undefeated miracle. All right, Hai Gemming has been dealt with. Let's do it together. I don't want to waste time. After stabilizing his injuries, Li Lingtian looked coldly at Bai Yunbian, Bai Yuntian, and Qingliu as he spoke calmly. As the sound of his voice faded, his divine sense moved, and a medicinal pill appeared in the air. He then placed the medicinal pill into his mouth. Instantly, the primeval essence that was originally exhausted was instantly restored at this time. Shoo! What kind of medicinal pill is this? He can actually recover his true energy instantly. He can recover the true energy of a martial sage. A saint alchemist is indeed a saint alchemist. The #1 saint alchemist in the divine martial continent is indeed powerful. This is too heaven-defying. It can instantly recover true essence. If I had such a pill, I wouldn't have to worry about the problem of true essence. This is the heaven-defying power of the #1 alchemy saint. Countless powerhouses were shocked and they saw Li Lingtian's true essence recover in an instant. They could not help but discuss among themselves. Similarly, Bai Yuntian and the other two were shocked and they saw Li Lingtian's depleted vital essence recover in an instant. It was bad luck to meet such a person. The battle just now had exceeded their expectations. They did not expect Li Lingtian to be so powerful. The fact that he was so powerful that he could kill a martial god like Hai Gemming in just a few moments was already a symbol of invincibility and immortality. Even if a martial god couldn't defeat him, he could still escape. But now, Hai Gemming had been killed in the blink of an eye. In the sky, there was no other sound other than the discussions of the experts. After Li Lingtian spoke, Bai Yunbian, Bai Yuntian, and Qingliu looked at Li Lingtian with a grave expression. The atmosphere was extremely tense. Chapter 8:18, Light of Reincarnation, 1. Alright, in that case, let's do it. Bai Yuntian pondered for a moment as he looked at the countless experts and armies. The city of Heaven's Roars had already been destroyed. Everyone here was from the Carefree Empire, while the rest were merely spectators. Li Lingtian's strength was too terrifying. Furthermore, he had a few helpers. This was beyond their imagination. Everything was beyond their expectations. The situation had become serious. If they did not take action, they would be destroyed in this place. After saying that, he exchanged a glance with Bai Yunbian and Qingliu. Immediately, his body quickly separated, forming a strange formation. Swoosh, swoosh. Roar. Immediately, Yun Ao Tian and Tian Qingzi flashed and flew towards the clear stream and the white cloud. The gorilla demon roared and charged towards Bai Yuntian. In an instant, the three martial god powerhouses and Li Lingtian's helpers were engaged in a fierce battle. In the air, waves of destructive energy swept across, and space began to shatter at this moment. Li Lingtian glanced at Tang Qingyue and the others before nodding. He quickly retreated and returned to the war god. Countless experts knew that this battle was basically a foregone conclusion. The Carefree dynasty fought against the Kingdom of Heaven's Roars, destroying the 20 million troops of the Kingdom of Heaven's Roars. Heaven's Roar's capital city was already destroyed, no longer having the appearance of a capital city. Li Lingshan's reputation was even greater. He had single-handedly killed a martial god powerhouse in the blink of an eye, destroyed the forbidden formation Divine Pearl, and cast the lost formation. The four great kingdoms were about to be unified. After that, the great Shang kingdom would become history. Naturally, the Carefree dynasty would become even stronger. At that time, they would be able to unify the other kingdoms even faster. Boom! 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 Roar! In the sky, space was continuously torn apart. 6 figures flashed rapidly. The gorilla demon's huge and heavy body was also as fast as lightning. This was the first time a battle between martial god realm experts had happened in the Black Continent. All the experts and the army were stunned when they saw the battle between martial god realm experts. The destructive aura caused all the experts and armies within 10,000 miles to retreat far away. At this moment, only the 9-headed war god was floating within a radius of 10,000 kilometers. Only the war god's array and defense could withstand the destructive power of the war god's battle. Li Lingtian stood on the war god with a calm expression on his face. The blood at the corner of his mouth had long been wiped away by Tang Zimeng 1's silk handkerchief. Tang Genji and the others stood by Li Lingshan's side and waited for the battle to end. However, despite his calm expression, Li Lingtian was puzzled. Although the 4 martial god powerhouses had cultivated the chilling yin energy and possessed terrifying strength, they had also killed Hai Jeming in the beginning. However, he still felt that something was wrong. The body of the secret agent was killed by yin poison, and Hai Jeming and the other 3 didn't have such strength. No matter how terrifying the cold yin cultivation technique was, it could not reach such power. In other words, these 4 people were not the ones who killed the spy at all, or rather, it was someone else. Someone else? Li Lingshan's heart skipped a beat as his expression changed. Big brother Ling Tian, what's wrong? Tang Zimeng quickly asked when she saw Li Lingshan's expression. She thought that there was something wrong with Li Lingshan's injury. Huangfu Yuyan and the others immediately turned to look at Li Lingtian. Not good, there's another expert hiding here. Li Lingtian whispered in a serious tone that only Tang Qingyue and the others could hear. There are other experts? Instantly, the girls looked at Li Lingtian in shock. It was already heaven-defying to have 4 martial god powerhouses. If there were other powerhouses, what kind of concept would that be? There must be something strange about the fact that there were so many martial god powerhouses in the capital city of Heaven's Roars. Yes, these 4 martial god experts are not the ones who killed the spy we saw before. It must be someone else. Li Lingtian nodded as his expression returned to normal. However, his divine perception was still scanning his surroundings for fear of a sneak attack. However, the surroundings were extremely quiet. There were no experts hiding at all. The more this was the case, the more worried Li Lingtian was. His gaze shifted to the place where Yunfei Tian and the others were fighting. He paid attention to the scene of the battle. If anything unexpected happened, he would attack immediately. Even if he was injured, he would not let his 3 martial god helpers die. After all, it was rare to have 3 martial gods as helpers. If one of them was missing, it would affect the future of the Carefree dynasty. Rumble. 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 Explosions continued in the air. Bai Yuntian and the others were almost on par with each other. Even though Yunfei Tian and the other had just broken through, they were both super experts among super experts. They had obtained an ancient inheritance and their strength was extremely terrifying. For a moment, the 3 battle groups were evenly matched. It was impossible to determine the victor. However, at this moment, a strange change occurred in the battle. Yin, cold, absolute, poison. Heaven, earth, change, change. Reincarnation light. Bai Yuntian, Bai Yunbian, and Qinglu actually gave up on attacking and retreated. At the same time, a pale green jade scepter appeared in their hands, and they kept chanting mysterious incantations. The speed of the entire spell was extremely fast. In the end, a destructive green light exploded in the air. The entire process happened in an instant. The entire battlefield was covered by the pale green light that descended from the void. Instantly, the entire battlefield was imprisoned. The pale green light carried a destructive aura. Yunfei, Tianqingzi, and the gorilla demon all revealed terrified expressions. He looked extremely painful. The pale green light quickly pressed down, as if it wanted to crush Yunfei and the others. However, Bai Yunbian and the others didn't pose any threat in the light at all. They were as relaxed as fish in water. Trash, you can't even handle such a small matter properly. You even need the Ancestor to do it personally. In the air, a vast voice sounded. When the voice fell, a phantom appeared above the pale green light. At this moment, the pale green light was a light shield that enveloped Yunfei and the others. The shadow could not be seen clearly, but its body emitted an aura of destruction and death. The entire shadow seemed to be formed by the cold separation. As expected, Li Lingtian was shocked to the core. With a flash, his entire body burst forth with destructive power. He was already suspended in the air and his aura had reached its peak. The sudden change just now was only in an instant. By the time he reacted, Yunfei, Tianqingzi, and the gorilla demon had already been imprisoned. Moreover, this phantom seemed to have been in the pale green light all along. The light was the light of reincarnation. Li Lingtian was an array master and was proficient in the cultivation techniques of the human race, the infernal race, and the underworld. Naturally, he knew that the light of reincarnation was a cultivation technique of the underworld and it was an extremely vicious and terrifying cultivation technique. At this moment, he did not dare to hesitate anymore. He circulated the power in his entire body to the limit. With a flick of his consciousness, the divine martial black heavenly sword appeared in his hand. His eyes flashed with a cold light. Divine martial profound heaven sword, the sword will destroy the world. Die! Li Lingtian shouted as he unleashed his metal Dao intent. At the same time, a destructive sword intent soared into the sky. He stretched out his hand and the divine martial black heavenly sword in his hand smashed fiercely at the phantom with a destructive cyclone. Instantly, the void was destroyed. At this moment, the void destruction had already been used. The sword light pierced through the void. Wherever the sword light passed, there was a black hole space. There was no time or space. When the sword light appeared, it had already arrived in front of the phantom. Boom! The destructive black hole struck the shadow, and a shocking explosion sounded. The green light disappeared. Yunfei, Tianqingzi, and the gorilla demon were finally rescued. Ah! Ah! Two screams sounded at the same time. The power of the void destruction swallowed by Yunbian and Qing Lu. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared into the black hole. Bai Yuntian was thrown out as well. His eyes were filled with despair, but amidst the despair, there was a cruel look. The jade scepter in his hand shattered at this moment, and the world instantly trembled. The green light appeared once again. When the green light appeared, Bai Yunshan's entire body was corroded by the green light. The cold yin qi on his body burst out, but the cold yin qi quickly disappeared into the green light. This change in the sky caused all the troops and experts to be shocked, as if they had seen a ghost. There really were ghosts in this world. This green light was even more terrifying than ghosts. Kaka, kaka. Hee hee, hee hee. An ear-piercing and cold laughter rang out. The illusory figure floated in the air again. The illusory figure's body was even more solid, and there was a faint green color to it. It was obvious that it was formed by a green light. Furthermore, the green light became even more terrifying after absorbing Bai Yunshan's vital essence and yin energy. Whoosh, whoosh. Yunfei, Tianqingzi, and the gorilla demon had returned to the edge of the war god to protect Tang Zimeng and the others. They were extremely afraid. If it were not for Li Lingshan's forceful attack, the light of reincarnation would not have been broken and they would have been killed. So it's you. Li Lingtian looked at the shadow in horror before he looked at the reincarnation light that was swirling around the shadow. He was extremely shocked before he finally spoke in a calm voice. The aura of this shadow was the terrifying figure that killed the secret agents. Junior, you are unlucky to have met me. You are powerful, but in front of me, you are not even comparable to an ant. The illusory figure spoke in an aged manner. His emerald green eyes were fixed on Li Lingtian as his body morphed into various forms. He was no longer a human but a terrifying monster. All the experts and the army could not help but tremble. There was no way to attack such a monster. If even Li Lingshan's destructive attack could not kill it, what other attack could defeat it and kill it? Everyone understood that this phantom could not be killed by attacks at all. Chapter 8:19, Dark Nether Ancestor. Is that so? Li Lingshan's expression was extremely grave as he could not think of any way to fight against the phantom. This phantom was not a physical entity at all. It was impossible to attack it. Moreover, this phantom was extremely terrifying. The power of the light of reincarnation and the cold air could kill any expert below the martial god realm. He was helpless against this old man. However, he was still calm. He circulated his ice soul martial soul to stabilize his mind. The true essence in his entire body was circulated to the extreme. The 5 elements sacred body was activated at this time, and the 5 elements Tao intent was also circulated. The 5 elements Tao intent raged in the air. Li Lingshan's entire body seemed to have blended into this world. Water Tao intent. As he spoke to himself, the air suddenly became damp. Gradually, the sound of running water could be heard between heaven and earth. In an instant, the sound of rumbling could be heard in the air, as if a river was rolling. However, the voice suddenly stopped. The air became extremely frozen, as if it was going to freeze the world. Coupled with the shadow's cold aura, this world had completely turned into a frozen century. Li Lingtian extended his hand in the air and a strange flame appeared in his palm. His palm was also flickering with a strange icy flame. Ice flame. Instantly, countless powerhouses recognized the icy frost flame in Li Lingshan's hand. When they saw it, they could not help but shudder. This icy frost flame was a warrior's nemesis. It surpassed all kinds of attributes and could not be restrained by flames. There was ice in the flames, and the ice formed a strange ice flame. It was not flames and ice at all, but a mutation of flames and ice. No one could say whether this ice flame was flames or ice. However, Li Lingtian understood that the icy frost flame could change in front of him according to his mood and thoughts. After the appearance of the ice flame, the space began to tremble as if it could not withstand the destructive tremors of the ice flame. Furthermore, the ice flame in Li Lingshan's hands grew stronger and more numerous. Gradually, the ice that was originally only the size of a fist had grown to a meter in diameter. It was like a ball of destructive power that could explode at any time. At the same time, the world, time, and space seemed to have frozen. Last time, Li Lingtian had obtained an endless supply of icy frost flames at the exit of the ice palace in the demonic canyon. He did not have the time to refine the icy frost flames after absorbing them. However, ever since he obtained the icy frost flame, he had never forgotten about it. All these years, he had been refining the icy frost flame. Only after he reached the martial saint realm did he truly refine the icy frost flame. The current ice flame was enough to destroy the world. Not bad, not bad. Today, I'll teach you the power of the Yin Qi and the light of reincarnation. The shadow trembled slightly when it saw Li Lingshan's ice flame, but its expression could not be seen. After the voice was heard, the shadow disappeared in a strange manner. However, the pale green reincarnation light in the sky flashed and quickly pressed down on Li Lingtian. At that moment, Li Lingtian waved his hand and the frost flame in his hand turned into a ray of light that pressed down on the opponent's reincarnation light. At the same time, his figure disappeared, as if he had disappeared into thin air. Roar! Roar! In the sky, before the light of the ice flame and the light of reincarnation collided, Li Lingshan's roar was heard. His voice was like a dragon's roar that shook the 9 heavens. However, Li Lingshan's figure was nowhere to be seen and his shadow was nowhere to be seen. One man and one shadow hid in the air as they constantly flashed and attacked. No one could see what attacks the shadow and Li Lingtian were using, nor did they know what was going on. Tang Qingyue and the others were also extremely worried. They could not tell the cultivation of this phantom, but it was extremely terrifying. They could not use their attacks to fight at all. Encountering such an expert, he had no confidence at all. Chi-chi, chi-chi, si-si, si-si. Boom. 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 At this moment, the light screen formed by the icy flame finally collided with the light of reincarnation. Immediately, a sizzling sound appeared in the air, and the space continuously trembled and tore. Furthermore, there were continuous explosions. The entire space trembled as if it was about to be destroyed at any moment. However, after the two extreme destructive forces collided, it was a tie. At least, it was impossible to tell who was the winner for the time being. Puchi. With a dull thud, Li Lingtian appeared in the air with a pair of crystal-clear wings on his shoulders. There was blood at the corner of his mouth. At this moment, his entire spirit was greatly damaged, and his face was pale. At the same time, the shadow appeared in the air. No one could tell what was going on with the shadow. However, the shadow did not attack Li Lingtian after it retreated. Countless powerhouses were baffled by this situation. Because the phantom had no expression and no physical body, it was impossible to tell if it was injured or if its expression had changed. True Dragon Qi. Li Lingshan's body was emitting waves of cold Yin Qi. This cold Yin Qi was obviously the damage that the phantom had inflicted on Li Lingtian. The cold Yin Qi continued to erode Li Lingtian. However, Li Lingshan's 5 elements sacred body quickly converted the cold Yin Qi into true essence and turned it into a resource. Moreover, Li Lingshan's aura was rising rapidly and his aura was changing. His body rapidly changed, and finally, he turned into a phantom, a divine dragon. After the true dragon phantom appeared, the world was torn apart. The power of the divine dragon was earth-shattering. Divine dragons were the most powerful of the myriad races. Their power tore through the void and destroyed the world. Li Lingtian transformed into a 100-meter-long phantom true dragon and unleashed his shocking dragon energy. After the true dragon body barrier reached the 5th level, it would be the true dragon power. After reaching the 5th level, one could completely transform into a divine dragon. The might of the true dragon's power was just that overbearing. Furthermore, Li Lingtian activated the dragon energy of the 3,000 worlds in the divine dragon ring with a flick of his divine consciousness. The dragon energy of one world surged out and quickly entered Li Lingshan's body. The domineering true dragon Qi corroded the air, and the entire world became true dragon Qi. True dragon body. There's true dragon Qi. What a terrifying true dragon Qi. I didn't expect him to cultivate such a tyrannical cultivation technique. Who else in this world can compare to his defense? It's a true dragon. It's actually reached the level of a true dragon. The true dragon can transform into a phantom. It's just right to fight against the phantom. What a terrifying true dragon QJ. In the sky, countless powerhouses who were watching the battle stared at Li Lingtian in horror. Everyone knew that Li Lingtian was at the 5 elements perfection and possessed incredible strength. However, he did not expect Li Lingtian to cultivate the most powerful dragon tribe cultivation technique in the world. The dragon tribe no longer belonged to the demon tribe because he was the supreme being of the demon tribe. He had surpassed the demon tribe and had become a noble race like humans. In terms of strength, the dragon race was the strongest in this world. Now that Li Lingtian had cultivated the true dragon strength, it was evident how powerful he was. With the appearance of the true dragon power, the phantom also shook. Immediately, the phantom flashed rapidly and charged toward the true dragon phantom that Li Lingtian had transformed into. Boom! 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 An explosion sounded in the air. This sound had already suppressed the sounds of the ice flame and the light of reincarnation. The two phantoms, the true dragon phantom, carried a destructive dragon chi. The domineering dragon chi was on par with the cold chi of the phantom. The pale green light of reincarnation on the phantom's body also kept colliding with the dragon chi. I know who you are. Li Lingshan's voice rang out in the air. Instantly, countless powerhouses pricked up their ears to find out what the phantom was. Huh, it's too late for you to know now. The phantom laughed loudly. His voice was unbridled and he did not take Li Lingtian seriously at all. The 10 great venerables of the icebound snow region. Dark Nether Ancestor. Li Lingtian shouted. His voice reverberated throughout the world and the world trembled in front of his voice. All the experts and the army heard it clearly. After hearing this voice, they were all shocked, and their expressions kept changing. The icebound snow region was the most mysterious and terrifying place in the divine martial continent. Legend had it that there were 10 venerables. Only 9th-tier martial god experts could be venerables. No one dared to enter the icebound snow region. For countless tens of thousands of years, no one had entered the icebound snow region, and no experts had left the icebound snow region. This icebound snow region was like an independent world. Another important thing was that the icebound snow region was located in Yuzhou province, which was close to the demon race. The icebound snow region was also regarded as a desolate land by the divine martial continent. He did not expect this phantom to actually come from the icebound snow region. Even if this phantom was only a venerable's clone, it was enough to defy the heavens. That's right. Since you already know, then die. The mysterious man did not quibble because Li Lingtian had seen through his cultivation base and cultivation technique. He wanted to hide it from others, but he could not hide it from Li Lingtian. Li Lingtian was too mysterious and powerful. He was knowledgeable, had terrifying strength and unfathomable means. If it were not for the item in Li Lingshan's possession, he would not have left the frozen snow region to deal with Li Lingtian. It was unwise to provoke Li Lingtian. Light of the netherworld, light of reincarnation, fuse. Judgment of heaven and earth. As soon as the mysterious man finished speaking, his body flashed and disappeared. When he reappeared, he had already arrived at the place where the reincarnation light and the ice flame were. He grabbed with one hand and the reincarnation light quickly disappeared. Losing its target, the ice flames fiercely bombarded the phantom. However, the phantom vanished into thin air and the icy frost flame lost its target once again. In the end, it quickly shot toward Li Lingtian. It entered Li Lingshan's glabella and turned into nothing before entering his dantian. At this moment, the mysterious man appeared again. He waved his hands casually and a beam of dark light appeared. The dark light and the light of reincarnation fused together. Instantly, the world trembled. The fusion of the two lights made the world even stranger. Chapter 820, Judgment of Heaven and Earth. Whoosh! 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 The air became gloomy, and only a mysterious and terrifying light descended from the void. The phantom also quickly entered the light. Instantly, the entire world was enveloped by this light. Ah, ah. Chi-chi, shishi. Rumble, in the distance, countless experts quickly turned to ashes, and countless armies fell. The army and experts quickly retreated. The war god's array formation quickly collapsed and disappeared, and space began to distort. Everything was distorted and corroded by this light. The Heaven Roar's capital city continuously melted and finally turned into a pile of sand and dust. When this terrifying scene appeared, all the armies and experts were shocked to death. Coldness, extreme poison. Li Lingshan's true dragon power was constantly suppressed. In the end, the powerful true dragon power was compressed to a size of only 100 meters. Pfft! The terrifying corrosive and destructive power completely destroyed the true dragon chi and continuously compressed it. Li Lingshan's figure vanished and he reverted back to his original form. He spat out a mouthful of blood as he watched the destructive radiance bombard him. This light was like the judgment of heaven and earth. It was as if it wanted to destroy this world and turn it into the underworld. The dragon energy of a world was compressed to the extreme. It crashed into Li Lingshan's body and finally entered his dantian. Li Lingshan's expression changed drastically when he saw this terrifying scene. Only he knew that no matter how powerful he was, he would not dare to devour the dragon energy of an entire world at once. Moreover, this was forcefully entering his dantian. If not for the true dragon body, he would have long been destroyed by his own dragon energy. He circulated the heaven and earth reincarnation chant and quickly stabilized the balance of the dragon energy. Otherwise, the dragon energy would explode and be destroyed. If the dragon energy exploded, even a god would not be able to save him. After all, this was the dragon energy of the same world. Ah! He watched as the destructive judgment of heaven and earth descended. The light that could melt and erode all things in the world had already descended. Li Lingtian roared as his eyes turned bloodshot. 3 exquisite lotus-shaped runes appeared between his eyebrows. Then, a blood-red light burst out. Tisk! Instantly, the blood-red light pierced through the destructive light of heaven and earth judgment and shot directly towards the center of heaven and earth judgment. Ah! Damn it, damn it! Arg! A scream of agony rang out. However, the moment the scream died down, the illusory dark Nether Ancestor roared furiously, and the destructive light became even stronger. The blood-red radiance that Li Lingtian had cast earlier was the Eye of the Divine Soul. The Eye of the Divine Soul carried a divine consciousness attack. The Dark Nether Patriarch did not expect Li Lingtian, a martial saint, to dare to attack with his divine consciousness. Furthermore, his divine consciousness was so powerful that it had completely surpassed the realm of a martial saint. Even a level 1 or 2 martial god powerhouse did not possess such a powerful divine consciousness. She was accidentally attacked by Li Lingshan's divine consciousness. With his divine consciousness attacked, the destructive radiance paused for a moment. With this pause, Li Lingtian had found an opportunity. Li Lingshan's entire aura changed as the destructive radiance that was even more powerful descended. The expression on his face changed, and his entire person became extremely demonic. His hair fluttered in the wind, and there were blood-red runes on his glabella. His entire body emitted a terrifying aura, and he looked like a demon god. Saint Demon Quintessence. Li Lingtian roared as the Holy Demon Ring was activated. The terrifying holy demon energy inside entered his body. All the true essence in his body turned into demonic chi, true demonic chi, and there were traces of saint demonic chi in the true demonic chi. At this time, his demonic cultivation had already reached an extreme. Even his true essence cultivation was not as powerful as the demonic cultivation method. After obtaining the true devil chi of Qing was clone and the devil-suppressing chi of great demonic god Di Tian, his devil race cultivation had reached an unprecedented level. Instantly, a shocking amount of demonic QJ soared into the sky and bombarded the light. Boom! With an explosion, the shocking demonic chi directly pierced a hole in the light. Li Lingtian took the opportunity to burst out from the hole and left the light's shroud. He floated in the air and looked at the light of the heaven and earth judgment from afar. Demons. Demon race cultivation technique. What a powerful devil technique. The Dark Nether Patriarch was in the midst of the heaven and earth judgment, but his voice was filled with shock. He never expected Li Lingtian to possess such a heaven-defying devil cultivation method. Even the demons did not possess such pure demonic chi. Who was this Li Lingtian? He did not cultivate the most powerful 5 elements perfection of the human race, yet he had the dragon clan's cultivation method, and now, he was the strongest cultivation method of the demons. His cultivation and methods had completely exceeded the imagination of the human race. Everything about this young man was heaven-defying, and earth-shattering. The cultivation technique of the demon race. He is a devil cultivator. Third cultivator of true virtue. Devil cultivator, demon cultivator, true body cultivation technique. As expected of a pervert. This Li Lingtian is no longer a genius but a perverted monster. This is too terrifying. Countless powerhouses looked at Li Lingtian from afar. They could only see that Li Lingshan's body was covered in black demonic qi. A monstrous demonic qi soared into the sky. Half of the sky was filled with cold light, and the other half was filled with destructive and terrifying demonic qi. Li Lingtian stood in the air like a demonic god. The sight of him shocked countless powerhouses and the army. On the other hand, the carefree empire's army and powerhouses were extremely excited. The stronger Li Lingtian was, the happier they were. I said that if you come to the Black Continent, you should stay in the Black Continent. Judgment of heaven and earth? I am heaven and earth. Can you judge me? Then I'll let you experience what it means to defy the heavens. I'm going against the heavens. Even the heavens can't stop me. You're just a small stepping stone. Li Lingtian laughed out loud as his hair fluttered in the wind and a terrifying demonic qi wafted through the air. At this time, the demonic qi could already resist the cold qi. This was because this cold Yin qi was transformed from the Yin Nether qi. The netherworld was powerful, but the demon realm was also tyrannical and heaven-defying. When the two powerful auras clashed, it became a battle between the demon race and the dark race. He stretched out his hand and the Saint Magic Dragon Blade appeared in his hand. The Saint Magic Dragon Blade was the supreme treasure of the demons. Its power could destroy the world. It was a terrifying treasure for humans, demons, and any living being. As soon as he finished speaking, he swung his divine magic dragon blade. Suddenly, the space trembled for some reason. A light shadow flashed and appeared. When the light shadow appeared, the attack had already crossed 100 miles and struck the light of heaven and earth judgment. Kacha! With a crisp sound, the light of the heaven and earth judgment was struck, and the true devil qi fell. The heaven and earth judgment was destroyed under this attack. Yes. The light of reincarnation and the light of netherworld separated, and the shadow of the dark nether ancestor appeared in the air again. The shadow shook, and it was obvious that he was seriously injured. The dark nether patriarch looked at the Saint Magic Dragon Blade in Li Lingshan's hand and was lost in thought. However, all the experts could roughly guess the changes in the dark nether ancestor's heart. He was definitely shocked and afraid. The Saint Magic Dragon Blade was a supreme treasure of the demon race. It was extremely powerful. Even if the Saint Magic Dragon Blade was incomplete, its power was not something that dark nether ancestor could withstand. The heaven and earth judgment was no longer a physical attack. Physical attacks could not pose any threat to it at all. However, the divine magic dragon blade carried demonic qi and its power was extremely mysterious. With one attack, it just happened to break the heaven and earth judgment. Very good. Today, even if I have to destroy this clone, I will destroy you. At this moment, the netherworld ancestor was already prepared to kill him. This was because he had witnessed how terrifying Li Lingtian was. He was only a martial saint now, but he was already so terrifying. If he waited for a few years, no one would be able to suppress him after his cultivation base had increased tremendously. By then, he would definitely become a future threat to the frozen snow region. Moreover, it would be impossible to obtain Li Lingshan's items by then. Furthermore, the frozen snow region was in dire need of Li Lingshan's items. He had already made up his mind to eliminate Li Lingtian even if it meant the death of his clone. Light of reincarnation, light of darkness, fuse. The power of my true body, sacrifice. The projection of the dark nether patriarch erupted with terrifying dark nether qi. The cold Yin qi intensified at this moment, and the space continued to be destroyed. Suddenly, a mysterious pulling force appeared between heaven and earth. Li Lingtian did not dare to be careless at this moment. A strange glint flashed across his eyes as he used his divine consciousness to retract the divine magic dragon blade. Then, with a flick of his divine sense, a scepter appeared in his hand. Rumble. Rumble. When the scepter appeared, bolts of lightning descended from the heavens. Heaven and earth became extremely dark, and shocking demonic chi stirred in the air. This world had completely become a world of demonic chi. At this moment, Li Lingtian had completely become a demon powerhouse. He stood proudly in the sky and looked coldly at the projection of the dark Nether Ancestor. At this moment, a strange power appeared in the void. As if some kind of seal had been broken, a destructive power descended on the phantom. Kacha! Kacha! The destructive power descended, tearing the space apart. It was like a mirror that was being shattered inch by inch. Roar! Roar! The projection of Dark Abyss Progenitor roared at this moment, and countless mysterious hand seals appeared. The destructive power in the sky became solid. The extremely dense cold air fell on the phantom like the water of the Milky Way. Seeing this scene, all the soldiers and experts were shocked. Their faces were filled with shock. This shocked expression was even more terrifying than seeing ghosts. Even Li Lingtian was shocked and his expression turned grave. This was the most solemn moment in this world. The shadow of the dark Nether Ancestor quickly turned into a real human expert. My true body, my true Bodhis power. Li Lingtian cried out in surprise. Initially, he did not believe the phantom's words when it mentioned his true body power. He did not expect that he would actually summon his true body power. The power of the original body was a mysterious method used by the clone to summon a portion of the original Bodhis power to form a physical body and use destructive attacks. Chapter 821, Dark Nether Ancestor. Li Lingshan's heart trembled at the sight. He did not expect that the Dark Nether Progenitor would summon his true body in order to kill him. It was a heavy price to pay. Even if Li Lingtian was killed, his original Bodhis cultivation base would be greatly reduced in the future. In the Divine Martial Continent, his clone would not summon his original body unless it was absolutely necessary. Because this price was not something that a martial god expert was willing to pay. Moreover, only after becoming a martial god would there be an avatar. Martial god experts could cultivate avatars, but they did not dare to use them. Li Lingtian, it's your honor to have me here personally. I'll give you two choices. One is to commit suicide, and the other is for me to extract your soul and refine it. The Dark Nether Ancestor turned into a physical body. He was also dressed in black, and his face was extremely cold. Traces of anger were already on his face. It was indeed extremely furious to have his true body come here. You guys will never change your old habits. If the upper beam is not straight, the lower beam will be crooked. The young are arrogant, and the old are also arrogant. You can lie to others, but in front of me, don't pretend. This is not your original body. It is impossible for a martial god expert to be summoned by a clone. You are only a portion of the original Bodhis strength. Do you really think I'll be afraid of you if you only use 1/10 of my power? Li Lingtian stared coldly at the Nether Spirit Patriarch as he felt the destructive cold air in the space and the vicious Nether Spirit power. The old man was many times stronger than the first phantom. A 9th firmament martial god venerable had incredible strength. Even a clone of his true body was not something a martial god could compare to, let alone Li Lingtian, who was only a martial saint powerhouse. As he spoke, the demonic chi in his entire body soared. The saint demon scripture was heaven-defying and powerful. It was the strongest cultivation art of the devil race. Even the great demonic god Di Tian had never seen the saint demon scripture before. He had true devil chi and saint devil chi, and his power was heaven-defying and terrifying. Good, good, very good. You can actually see through my clone. Even if I only have 1/10 of my original strength, I can still crush you. The Dark Nether Patriarch's face was filled with malice. The martial god's aura was unleashed to the extreme and the destructive pressure continued to press down on Li Lingtian. There was a huge gap between the two of them in terms of cultivation level and they could easily suppress Li Lingtian with their pressure. Heavenly Demon Region. Li Lingtian could feel the terrifying pressure. Naturally, he knew that the Dark Abyss Patriarch was going to suppress him with his pressure and suppress his aura before he wiped out Li Lingtian. Naturally, he would not let go of this opportunity to kill two birds with one stone. However, Li Lingtian would not let him have his way. In terms of cultivation realm, he was miles away from a ninth firmament martial god supremacy. With his current cultivation realm, any martial saint could instantly kill him, let alone a king among martial gods. However, even though his realm was not a match for a venerable, he had countless methods. If he couldn't even match up to the other party, then he could only wait for death. Terrifying demonic chi gathered, and the heaven demon domain spread out. Instantly, a shocking pressure formed a domain that blocked the pressure of the dark Nether Ancestor. Crash. Rumble. A series of explosions rang out as the destructive pressure continued to suppress Li Lingtian's heavenly demon domain. Li Lingtian was like a lone boat in the middle of a raging sea. However, the raging sea could not destroy the lone boat. All of a sudden, countless experts and the 30 million soldiers in the sky were shocked. Although the Dark Nether Patriarch was powerful, it was even more impressive for Li Lingtian to be able to withstand such destructive pressure. One should know that a warrior who was one level higher would be crushed to death, and the same applied to the pressure. Powerful warriors relied on their pressure to suppress lower-level warriors, but this iron rule was broken by Li Lingtian. In the Heavenly Demon region, a terrifying defense blocked the pressure of the Venerable. Li Lingtian was shocked. A tenth of a Venerable's power was actually so terrifying. Fortunately, he had the Heavenly Demon region and the various treasures on him to protect himself. Coupled with the strong physique and defense of the internals, any other martial god powerhouse, even a first or second heaven martial god, would have been crushed to death by this pressure. Heavenly Wand. With the Heavenly Demon domain protecting him from the Dark Nether Patriarch's pressure, Li Lingtian's eyes flashed with determination as he had the opportunity to store his energy. Demonic chi burst out, and the entire space shook. He waved the Heaven Wand in his hand, and the destructive demonic chi immediately condensed into a strange pillar of light. The pillar of light was like a huge arc of lightning that shot towards Dark Nether Ancestor. Boom! A destructive explosion rang out. The power of the Heaven Wand ignored space and time. It was as if it had teleported. There was no difference in time at all. When the Heaven Wand was unleashed, its power struck Dark Nether Ancestor's body. With an explosion, Dark Nether Ancestor's body was thrown into the air, and the terrifying pressure disappeared. Shoo! Whoosh! All the experts and the army were in an uproar and let out a breath of cold air. They never expected Li Lingtian to send the Venerable One flying with a single blow. What kind of concept was that? Tyrant Demon Dragon Kill. True Demon God Destroying Palm. 9 Heavenly Demon Finger. At that moment, Li Lingtian's figure flashed as he swiftly chased after the Dark Abyss Patriarch without any hesitation or delay. The Heaven's Wand was already hovering in front of him as it followed Li Lingtian swiftly. The power of the Heavenly Demon region directly broke through the martial god's pressure in the air. Waving his hands, shocking demonic chi swept across as the first 3 moves of the 9 styles of Saint Devil were displayed. The first 3 styles of the 9 styles of the Saint Devil were the strongest secret techniques of the Devil race. Even the almighty Devil race didn't know of such a remarkable ability. This was because the 9 styles of the Saint Demon were only recorded in the true Saint Demon record. Each style was destructive and was the nemesis of all living things in the world. Immediately, destructive demonic chi swept across the world. Tens of thousands of demonic chi transformed into demonic dragons that bombarded Dark Nether Ancestor. Furthermore, the true demon god-destroying palm ignored the distance in space and sent out a palm print. After the palm print, Li Lingtian flicked his finger and a mysterious finger force tore through the air, locking onto the Dark Abyss Patriarch. Rumble. Rumble. Tisk. Puff. In the air, Li Lingtian was like a demon god as he pursued the enemy at high speed. The destructive demonic chi tore through the space continuously. The battle between the two was originally intended to eliminate the warrior sage's powerhouse, but it had turned into a fight between the warrior sage and the warrior sage. Between heaven and earth, there was a tacit understanding. Yin chi shot in all directions. The entire space was extremely terrifying, as if it was the end of the world. At that moment, an explosion sounded as several attacks ruthlessly bombarded the dark Nether Ancestor's body. At the same time, the destructive finger force pierced through the chest of the dark Nether Ancestor, and a huge bloody hole appeared on his back. However, there was still a terrifying black aura lingering on the bloody hole, and it could not be healed at all. Dark Nether Ancestor spat out a mouthful of blood, and his body started to sway. His originally unstable body became even more unstable, as if he would turn into a shadow at any moment. A supremacy's cultivation base was not something an ordinary expert could imagine. Even Li Lingshan's top-notch heaven-grade divine power could not injure the Dark Abyss Ancestor. However, the last 9 heavenly demon finger was almost as powerful as a saint-grade divine power. Furthermore, this finger force contained Saint Demon Chi, which completely destroyed the Dark Nether Ancestor's defense and injured him. The corrosive power of the Saint Demon Chi continued to devour the Dark Nether Ancestor's cultivation. Puff. Very good, very good. Today, you can die. 3 kowtows of the Nether King, no calamity. Dark Nether's progenitor's body and mind kept shaking, and his expression was extremely ugly. He looked at the wound on his chest, and fear appeared in his eyes. This demonic chi had exceeded his imagination. He did not expect that he would be injured by this demonic chi. Moreover, this demonic chi was constantly devouring his cultivation. If he delayed any longer, his original body would be affected. Not only would his main body be affected, but it would also be impossible for him to kill Li Lingtian. The expression on his face changed and became sinister and terrifying. A cruel smile overflowed from the corner of his mouth. Immediately, the nether energy in his body circulated, and his true essence reached its limit. His hands kept changing into all kinds of hand gestures, and terrifying hand seals were formed. A power that came from afar appeared between the heavens and the earth. The true Yuan and Nether Chi of the Dark Nether Patriarch scattered in the air. In the blink of an eye, that power arrived beside the Dark Nether Patriarch. His quintessential essence and the Dark Nether Chi fused together. Li Lingtian shuddered when he felt the force. The 30 million strong army and tens of thousands of powerhouses were also trembling. He could tell that this force was the aura of 9 Nether City. It must be a summoning power from the underworld. If he hesitated any longer, he would only be waiting for death. Heavenly Magic Staff, your tacit understanding is monstrous. Li Lingtian reached out with one hand and grabbed the heavenly staff beside him. The heavenly staff transformed into a terrifying weapon that was 100 meters long before it was hurled at the opponent. At this moment, the demonic chi in the world was blasted down by the heaven staff. The power tore the space apart and split it into 2. Just as he unleashed this power, the power unleashed by the Dark Nether Ancestor had already arrived and pressed down on him from all directions. Rumble. The 2 destructive forces collided with an explosive sound. Destructive demonic chi and umbra chi flew in all directions. However, Li Lingshan's body shook and he was quickly tossed out. The force of the Hades 3 kowtow had already materialized into a pair of 1,000-meter-long arms that smashed down on Li Lingtian. Li Lingtian felt insignificant and powerless before the arms. Li Lingshan's eyes were filled with despair as he watched the gigantic arms slam down on him. At that moment, Li Lingshan's despairing eyes flashed with surprise. He then activated the underworld ring in his hand with his divine sense. Hell King Blade. He took out a strange curved blade from the underworld ring with his divine sense. The curved blade emitted a dense green color and a destructive pressure. Suddenly, a mysterious pressure erupted in the air. This pressure was extremely cold, as if it wanted to freeze the space. Chapter 822, Hell King Blade, 1. The Underworld King Blade was one of the 6 treasures of the Underworld that he had obtained in 9 Nether City. When he saw Dark Nether Old Ancestor perform Dark King's 3 kowtows, he immediately thought of the 6 treasures of the Netherworld. However, he did not know what treasure to use at that moment because none of the treasures had been refined except for Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch. In times of crisis, he could not care about anything else. He was like a drowning person grabbing at random, desperately trying to find a cure. Thinking of the Underworld King Blade, he summoned the Underworld King Blade with his divine sense. The Underworld King Blade went straight for the arm of the 3 kowtowing Underworld Kings. The aura of the 2 forces were exactly the same, but Li Lingtian had no idea at that moment. All he could think about was how to withstand the terrifying arm. If he could not withstand the attack, he would be destroyed. Crash. The sound of an item being shattered rang out. All the experts and the army in the air stopped at this moment. However, when they saw the situation in the sky, they were all stunned. Li Lingtian's casual display of strength had actually shattered the gigantic arm into pieces before it gradually turned into fragments and disappeared into the air. This situation was completely beyond the expectations of the powerhouses and the army. In their eyes, Li Lingtian would be severely injured if not killed. Tang Qingyue and the others almost cried out in surprise. However, they could not enter such a huge battle at all. By the time Li Lingtian was in danger, it would be too late for them to intervene. However, they did not expect Li Lingtian to be able to dispel the attack so easily. Puchi. The Dark Nether Patriarch had channeled all his strength into this attack. However, he was destroyed by Li Lingtian's Hell King Blade and suffered a devastating blow. Although he was known as the Dark World Ancestor, he did not cultivate a truly powerful technique of the Dark World. With the martial god's cultivation and powerful technique, he could already dominate the world. However, he did not expect to encounter the Underworld King's Blade, the most precious treasure of the Dark World. This was luck. Martial artists relied on strength and experience, but also luck. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his entire body swayed as if he was about to dissipate at any moment. Hell King Blade? How could it be Hell King Blade? A look of terror appeared on the Dark Nether Ancestor's face, and he was even more unwilling. He did not expect his luck to be so bad to meet this little freak. He had used all kinds of methods and even obtained so many terrifying treasures. Fighting with this little freak was really unlucky. Die. Without waiting for Li Lingtian's reply, an ethereal voice came from the distant void. The voice came suddenly, and as soon as the voice fell, a white light descended and struck the Dark World Patriarch. The white light was like a grand light, appearing strangely and disappearing in an instant. It came quickly and left even faster. Ah! Arg! With a miserable cry, the Dark Nether Ancestor's body quickly dissipated and turned into a phantom. The phantom also disappeared. The Dark Nether Ancestor had completely disappeared from this space. All that was left behind was the echo of screams that drifted in this space. Li Lingtian's face did not show any excitement as he watched the Dark Abyss Patriarch's demise. Instead, his expression turned grave. Who are you? Li Lingtian looked into the void in search of the owner of the voice. The owner of the voice had not appeared from the beginning to the end, but he had killed the Dark Abyss Patriarch. In the ethereal immortal realm Divine Palace, the heart of creation has appeared. When the divine martial 5 continents were unified, the heart of Tao Vindication seized the good fortune. In the void, a slight distortion appeared, like a ripple in a calm lake. When this ripple appeared, the voice sounded again. When the voice fell, the world returned to silence. Everything calmed down. The nether chi disappeared, and so did the cold chi. Li Lingtian stared blankly into the void. He was shocked that he had failed to discover the owner of the voice despite his array Tao cultivation and powerful divine consciousness. However, after a long time, the owner of this voice never appeared again, as if he had left. Li Lingtian realized that this person did not have any ill intentions. He activated the holy demon's quintessence and quickly absorbed the demonic qi between heaven and earth. In just a moment, the demonic qi in the air was absorbed and the aura in the air returned to normal. Boom! Young Master, Young Master. Young Master's cultivation is unparalleled. Sweep the Black Continent and unify the world. After a brief silence, the world erupted in cheers. All the soldiers and experts of the Xiaoyao dynasty cheered. The entire world trembled in their cheers. Countless experts who were watching the battle were also extremely shocked at this moment. From the appearance of the four martial gods to the appearance of the Venerable's clone, the process was unpredictable. In the end, the Venerable disappeared. The entire process was extremely dangerous. If one was not careful, they would disappear. The fate of the Carefree dynasty was also wavering. However, in the end, Li Lingtian still managed to defeat the Venerable One's clone. Although he was eventually killed by the mysterious powerhouse, Li Lingtian had defeated the Dark Abyss Patriarch with the Hell King Blade. As long as he was serious, the Dark Abyss Patriarch would not be able to kill Li Lingtian even if he could not kill the Dark Abyss Patriarch. The great battle had ended at this point. The situation in the middle was unpredictable. The great battle of a kingdom had evolved into a battle of array formations, and in the end, it had become a great battle of the martial gods. In the end, a martial saint actually fought a martial god. The outcome was beyond the expectations of all the experts. The powerhouses from the various kingdoms felt their hearts tremble when they saw Li Lingtian's strength. Li Lingtian was no longer a warrior sage powerhouse but a super powerhouse who had killed a martial god. In total, Li Lingtian had killed 6 martial gods. In other words, the martial god powerhouses who appeared in front of Li Lingtian were all killed by him. In the end, even the Venerable One was killed. Li Lingtian cultivated the Dragon Clan's cultivation method, the Devil Clan's cultivation method, and the Underworld's treasures. All of his methods were heaven-defying. This piece of information gave countless powerhouses and kingdoms a new understanding of Li Lingtian. Reorganize the army and attack the Great Shang Kingdom. Li Lingtian waved his hand and shouted. As soon as he finished speaking, his figure flashed and he returned to the war god. As soon as he entered the war god, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Puchi. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his expression became extremely ugly. In the beginning, he had been injured, but when faced with this terrifying martial god and venerable, he could only forcefully hold on. However, now that the powerful enemy had been dealt with, he could no longer hold on. Young Master. Young Master. Big Brother Ling Tian. Husband. Seeing Li Lingtian's condition, everyone cried out in surprise. Tang Qingyue and the others quickly rushed forward to protect Li Lingtian. She looked at Li Lingtian with concern. Li Lingtian had sustained heavy injuries in the battle. Find a quiet place. I want to cultivate and heal my injuries. For the battle, Ao Tian and the Gorilla Demon are enough. The two of you will assist in the battle and try to make the Carefree Empire have the strength to compete with the Mystic Moon Empire in a short period of time. Li Lingtian waved his hand and instructed Yun Ao Tian when he saw him. He then turned and entered the war god. This subordinate will do it now. Yun Ao Tian bowed seriously and left the war god. Tian Qingzi followed the war god. The war god quickly left the capital city of Heaven's Roars and flew into the distance. After the battle ended, the Carefree dynasty's army was completely reorganized, clearing out the remaining forces of the Kingdom of Heaven's Roars. Li Lingtian and the rest left the capital city of Heaven's Roars and disappeared from sight. On the battlefield, there were only 30 million soldiers and countless elites from the Carefree Empire left. At this time, the 9-headed war god had the addition of the martial god Yun Ao Tian and a level 1 9th tier demonic beast like the Gorilla Demon. To the army, it was definitely a killing weapon. With 2 war gods in the army, they were invincible. At the same time, the experts and secret agents of the various kingdoms told him about the outcome of the battle. In an instant, the entire Mystic Moon Empire was shaken. Li Lingshan's terror had given the powerhouses of the Mystic Moon Empire and the various kingdoms a new understanding. This Li Lingtian was not a martial saint at all. He was the nemesis of the martial god. He was so young, yet he was able to kill a martial god at the martial saint realm. Who would be able to suppress him in the future? Li Lingshan's reputation was the hottest topic in the Mystic Moon Empire as well as the kingdoms around it. Li Lingshan's reputation was comparable to the great emperors of the 3 great empires. Even the great emperors of the 3 great empires were not as famous as Li Lingtian. There was a saying in the Mystic Moon Empire and the surrounding kingdoms, they would rather offend the kingdom than Li Lingtian. Indeed, there was nothing wrong with that. Li Lingtian was the divine martial continent's #1 divine alchemist, and he was able to refine peerless mutated pills. His cultivation was only at the first firmament of the martial saint realm, but he was already a martial god. Furthermore, it was not luck that he had killed the martial god. He had killed 6 martial god powerhouses in succession. The martial god powerhouses who had gone against Li Lingtian had all been killed. This Sir Lingtian's strength is too terrifying. The 25-year-old #1 divine pill refiner has earned him the title of #1 divine pill refiner in the divine martial continent. That's right. He reached the martial sage realm at the age of 25 and was actually able to kill a martial god realm expert. In 20 years, even if I kept cultivating, I wouldn't be able to reach the martial saint realm. Moreover, I'm cultivating the devil arts and dragon clans arts. How did I cultivate? Looks like the Mystic Moon Empire is in danger. Have you heard? Other than the few kingdoms unified by the Xiaoyao dynasty, the other kingdoms have all made their moves. I've known about this for a long time now. The 6 kingdoms are fighting each other, and the kingdoms fear the carefree empire. Surrendering or resisting has become the most difficult choice for the kingdoms. Below the Mystic Moon Empire, there were matters regarding the carefree empire and a few other kingdoms. In the Mystic Moon Empire, the most talked about topics were Li Lingtian, the carefree empire, and the remaining kingdoms. However, the Mystic Moon Empire didn't move at all. This situation confused countless experts and kingdoms. Moreover, the Heavenly Sun Empire and the Sky Blue Empire had also taken action in secret. In an instant, the entire Xianzhou was in turmoil and flames of war rose everywhere. You're tuning in to the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.